And we are live. We should be good to go, ready to get rocking and rolling. Thank y'all for being here yet again. The debate will be in about a half hour. This is about 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So right now, they're just kind of getting everything set up over there in Salt Lake City, Utah. And the debate will be between Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris. And I think this is going to be a pretty good debate. I can't wait for it personally. If you don't know about Mike Pence, you got to get familiar. And Kamala Harris is a lawyer, so you're going to see a very interesting debate, to say the least. So I personally cannot wait. And again, I thank y'all for being here. Most certainly appreciate you guys. All right, if somebody said I'm late, don't be a hater. But I thank y'all for joining. We got a really good debate coming up very, very soon. If my mic starts to act kind of funny, don't blame me. I've been having some issues with the microphone, just kind of cutting in and out here and there. But for the most part, we should be good money. And again, I thank y'all for being here. You guys are the best audience on the internet. If you are a first-time viewer to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button right now. I guarantee you won't regret it. And when you subscribe, click the bell as well so you get notified whenever I go live and or post a new video. I put up videos pretty frequently here on the channel. I try to do 2 a day if I got enough content, and I have to go live at least twice a week right here on the channel. So go ahead and subscribe right now. The debate, again, will start in about a half hour from now. It's 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, but the debate starts at 9 p.m. Eastern time. The debate starts at 7 p.m. out there in Salt Lake City. So if you saw a promo that said the debate will start at 7 p.m., that's for Salt Lake City, not for over here on the East Coast or Eastern Standard Time where I live right now. So this is what's going on right now at the debate. It just, it ain't too much happening, just kind of milling around. And you can kind of see what's going on right here. You see where my mouse is on the screen. You have where the moderator's going to sit, and you have where the vice president and Senator Harris will sit. And these desks are apparently 12 feet apart. And it's kind of hard to see, but right there, there's like this little plexiglass wall. And there's also another one right here. So you got 2 plexiglass walls, 12 feet apart. And I'm not seeing the plexiglass wall in front of the moderator booth. Maybe I can't see it. Maybe my eyes aren't as good as what they once were. But if we're talking about social distancing, all this, that, and the third, you got 12 feet in between the president and the senator. Why not? And also plexiglass, why not have the same distance and also plexiglass between the moderator? Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. I can't really tell, but we're going to go ahead and get rocking and rolling in just a little bit. And again, I thank y'all for being here. You guys are the best audience anywhere in the world. You said it's not 12 feet? Hey, I can't. It does not appear to be 12 feet, but I don't know. I'm just going off what they said. All right. Maybe their measurements ain't really all the way on point, but that's what they said. Maybe they couldn't achieve 12 feet. I don't know what's going on, but that's what they said. But I do see the plexiglass wall in between both, and I don't see one in front of the moderator unless I'm just not really seeing it, or maybe it's not there yet. I have no idea what's going on. Shout out to Modern Renaissance, man. Thank you, man. I'll be there. You gonna be out of town? I'll be there, man. I'll see you up there. Yes. So shout out to y'all who are here. Let me see. Thank you to Christopher Graves, who says, ABL, my guy, I appreciate you covering the story of that guy who got kicked from her Zoom class with a Trump flag. Short, sweet, and to the point as usual. Keep it up. Hey, no problem, man. And now I got to do what I got to do. And if you guys didn't see that, you had a young lady. She was a high school junior. She had a Trump flag on the wall. Like you see my flags on the wall, similar to that. So similar to the way I am right now. I'm talking to you guys through the computer, whether you're on your phone, your laptop, desktop, or whatever it is, your TV. And she was doing that for her online Zoom class at her high school. And because of the Trump flag she had in the background, she was kicked out of the Zoom call, talking about, oh, you can't have political things. Well, I'm in my own house. You can't dictate my wall decor. I don't have anything illegal on my wall. I can go outside with the Trump flag. I can have it in my house. So you're telling me I can't have the flag on the wall? And the thing is, if it's some kind of thing I violated, you should be able to go through the whole process of a suspension or something. You can't just kick me out because I got wall decor you don't like. It's crazy. But yeah, this is going to be a very good debate between Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris, the wannabe vice president. I wonder if we'll see Doug Emhoff, who is Kamala Harris's husband. I wonder why Kamala Harris is Kamala Harris and not Kamala Inhofe. Like, what's going on with that? I don't know, but I'll move on. That'd be very interesting to see that dynamic. And also, Mike Pence, like I said earlier in the stream, an excellent debater, an excellent speaker in general. If you go back to his days when he was the governor of Indiana, you're talking about he smoked you like a pack of Newports in a auto repairman, a shade tree mechanic in Newports. That's how he was smoky back in the day with those debates. He was really fiery. He was excellent. He took on more of a calm, cool, and collected role to become the vice president because Trump is real animated, real bombastic, and whatnot. So Pence is like the straight guy to Trump's routine. You understand? You got the guy that's like the good cop, bad cop. That's kind of what's going on with Trump and Pence. But you're going to see a side of Pence if he decides to reveal it tonight that you have not seen before, or you may not have seen very much. So I look forward to this debate for sure. Absolutely. Somebody said Pence Trump 2024. I wish. But we got a lot more people who can become the president in 2024. A lot of good young people. People that have been in government for a long time, everybody. There's a lot of good talent that's out there. So, we don't have to have a continuation of the Trump and Pence presidency in 2024, but you're definitely going to win it right now for sure. You're right, Modern Renaissance man. Trump and Pence seem to balance each other. Exactly. There's a balance there, and that's what I like about the two of them. And thank you to everybody that's super chatting. I appreciate you guys already. We got quite a few. We got about 4,400 live in the building. Again, the debate starts at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So we got about 22 minutes. So you've not missed anything. All we're seeing right now is the beginning of the debate. Okay, we're just seeing the very beginning. The thumbnail should have it. It should say 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we got plenty of time. Don't even worry about it. And the debate is a half hour. So it'll be 9 p.m. Eastern to 10:30 p.m. Eastern. So wherever you are on your particular part of the globe, whether you're local, national, international, wherever you are, just translate that Eastern time into your time, and that'll give you an idea of what's going on and how long you're going to be here. But either way it goes, we got about 22 minutes before the debate starts, and we go ahead and get rocking and rolling. Alrighty. The audio should be fine. I think what's going on right now, they don't have the audio on because there's nobody on stage. So the audio should be fine. Who's the moderator? Good question. I have that written down in the description. Susan Page. And this is USA Today, Washington Bureau Chief Susan Page. I don't know much about her at all. Is she any kin to Lisa Page of the infamous, entanglement of Lisa Page and Peter Strzok? I don't really know, but I digress. Susan Page is her name. Okay. Matter of fact, I'm going to read up on her a little bit. Who is Susan Page? Okay, she's been with USA Today for the quarter of a century. She's from Kansas. Let me see. She's won an award or so for her work for White House correspondence. Let me see. So that's all I really know. I don't really know too much else about Miss Susan Page. Is she biased as well? Probably. I have no idea. It could be. Let me see. Semper Fidelis says, I've got a serious question, ABL. I've heard in polling they wouldn't catch the white male middle class vote in 2016. How are they going to catch the black and Latino male middle class vote? I mean, that's going to be an uphill battle to catch the black and Latino male middle class vote. But I think it's a doable thing. I think that Trump and the GOP are actually giving an effort. Therefore,
cell phones
hold on.
are turned off.
That was just a lady in the background talking. The debate is not beginning, but I think it's going to be an uphill battle to get that vote. So I think as long as, we keep pushing the pedal to the metal, we can make some inroads. And I saw a promising poll from Telemundo back during the first debate. It said, 66% of Hispanic voters think that Trump won the first debate. And that was a controversial decision or controversial debate in general because of all the yelling, the over talking, the loud talking, the wrong talking. So to have about 2/3 of the viewers of Telemundo say that they thought Trump won, that's a pretty big achievement. So I think you're going to see stuff like that happen a lot throughout this cycle for sure. Alrighty. Melissa Hodges says she's a big lefty talking about the moderator. I don't doubt it. I do not doubt it. Not in the least bit. It makes a lot of sense to me. Yes, please vote in person. Do not allow these people to tell you that you can just, do whatever you want. These mail-in ballots, don't trust them at all. I've seen mail-in ballots get thrown in the garbage, set on fire, cut up, thrown away. I mean, all types of stuff. They just lock somebody up, some mail carrier, for throwing away like 4,500 or so pieces of mail. And they actually retrieved some of the mail from the garbage. They retrieved it from 2 dumpsters that were nearby in the area. So, and then they were able to deliver the mail that was recovered. What about that? What about the mail that did not get recovered? If you throw it away, set it on fire, how are you going to recover some mail that's burnt up? It doesn't exist anymore. Or if you try to hide it in your house or something like that, how are they going to recover that? You see? So, but we'll see what's going on. Again, you guys have not missed anything. This is the very beginning. The debate starts at 9 p.m. Eastern time, so you got about 18 minutes before the debate starts. What they're doing right now is bringing out some of the staff, people from the debate administration or whatever have you. I just pantsed that right quick. So you got guys like that out there talking right now, not about a whole lot really. So once we get close to the actual time to debate, we can go ahead and just switch to that. But for now, I'm going to have this view right here and just talk a little bit about what's going on and answer anything you guys may have to ask me. Shout out to Brian Stevenson, who says, ABL, how do you think Pence will come at Harris? Oh, by the way, Daniel Cameron for president and Candace Owens for vice president, or vice versa, 2024. Yes, I thought Daniel Cameron was very impressive. He could be the president for sure. Candace Owens, she can be, it could be vice versa. She could be the president, vice president, whatever, 2024. I'm with it 1,000%. And I think Pence may retain some of that cool, calm, and collected type of guy, that smooth operator type of vibe he's had throughout his presidency. But when it comes time to really get rocking and rolling, he'll get rocking and rolling. So I think that you'll see the cool side and also the kind of not so cool side, the fiery side. You'll see that as well if he needs to go ahead and turn the heat up a little bit. And it's going to be kind of a dumpster fire. Kamala Harris is going to have a problem being able to debate. I've not seen her debate. What do you guys think? How do you guys think the debate will go? Do you think that Kamala Harris will perform well during the debate, or will she kind of just fall apart, fall like a lawn chair? Like, how is she going to perform during the debate? Yes, there is no sound right now because they're not talking about much. This is not the debate happening right now. It's just some guys that are on there. I could turn the sound on, but they're not talking about anything. So there's no sense in me having the sound on at this moment. But yeah, how do you guys think the actual debate will go between Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris? All right. Christopher Gray says, bro, Trump will win with electoral landslide, 330 plus. What say you? I think you're right, boss. And I think that we're not going to have to wait for a very long time on recounts and paper ballots and all that kind of stuff, because once you get 270, it's a wrap. And I think we'll hit 270 sooner rather than later. You got basically a corpse out there in Joe Biden. The only way they can win or have any chance of succeeding is to cheat. That's why they want to have mail-in ballots and no voter ID, or do whatever you want, basically, to leave the door open for election fraud. That's just what it is. It's really simple. So I'm going to read some of the comments here about how you guys think she's going to do during the debate. Lawn chair for sure. Hope Pence levels her. Pence will win the debate, of course. Let me see. All right, let me read a little bit more. Yeah, the chat is blowing up, of course. Now, you guys love a good debate. I really enjoy debates. That's my highlight, really, is debates. I enjoy debating myself and watching debates. That's like watching NBA basketball for me now, because NBA basketball fell apart. Oh, did you guys hear? Quick sports note. I won't go too far down the road right now. I'm not sure if we got a big sports crowd. Maybe we do. But the NBA, you guys have been having all the Black Lives Matter stuff on the basketball court, on the back of their jerseys. NBA commissioner says that they're not going to have any of that stuff next year. They'll be back to normal next year. I was like, oh, you don't say. You're talking about revenues being down 68%. Or not revenues, but viewership down 68%. You cannot sustain that at all. You're going to have player salaries go down. Owners are going to start to lose money. It's going to be a problem. The WNBA will lose all the subsidy fund. You'll pretty much go ahead and close the WNBA because they don't make any money. The money that the NBA will lose will be the money that would go towards the NBA and more, and also player salaries. So they're going to ditch all the BLM and all kind of other political stuff next year. And it's about time, because this restart was an epic fail of massive proportions. But I'll move right along. I cannot wait. Let me see. Ryan Walker says, can we get an ABL versus Harris debate? I would love to. I would love to debate any of them over there on the left. It would get washed. I'm talking about smoked like a ham on Thanksgiving Day. All right? That's how they would get smoked, washed, whatever kind of slang term you want to use. It'd be a rap messing with me trying to debate for sure. All right. Shout out to your daddy who says Filipinos for Trump. Shout out to the Filipinos. You guys know, if you watch me, if you are a subscriber, you know I love the Filipino food, the Filipino people, the culture. You guys are fantastic. All right. The best Asians, the Filipinos, and that's big facts. No racist. Impotent Manchild says, BLM merch, 99% off. Hilarious. Hilarious. BLM merch is going to be like what they give the starving kids in Africa after somebody does not win a championship, but they already got shirts printed up. That's going to be what BLM merch is. But I'll move on. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate you guys for joining for the debate. We got about 13 minutes before the debate starts. It's about 8:47 p.m. Eastern time. The debate starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe for me right now. It is 1,000% free, and it helps me out. It helps you out as well, because you're able to get subscribed to some really good content. And when you subscribe, click that bell as well, so you get notified whenever I go live and or post a new video. Alrighty. And I thank y'all again for being the best audience anywhere on the internets. Let me see. Somebody says, do I trust the fake news on CNN, fake news CNN polls? No, I don't. It was the same thing in 2016. The same polls said the same thing. Oh, Trump's down 10 points, 15 points. He's losing Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, everywhere. And then it wound up not happening that way. And I knew that it would be the case. First of all, you got a margin of error, and the margin of error is crazy. It's like 4%, 5%. And beyond that, how many of us that would vote for Trump or lean more conservative actually get polled? Who's getting polled here? Okay. So a lot of this data is not giving you a super clear vision of what's happening. Sometimes it gives you a decent look at what's going on, but you can't just rely upon the polls, not exclusively. All right. If they're showing a really big gap, then you might be like, all right, that's probably right. But if the gap isn't that big and it's kind of questionable, it can go pretty much any way. You know, there's not really one way or another that it has to go. All right. So what I'm seeing right now, people are coming to the stage. It's not the debate yet. This is just people coming out. It's like the staff coming out, the debate staff. People are coming to the stage. They got masks on. Like the lady right here. She came to the stage with a mask like everybody else and then took it off to talk. So it's like, what was the point of coming to the stage with the mask on? Why'd you have it on and take it off? I don't understand. You know, it's like kind of going to a restaurant. You take your mask, you have your mask on to go inside, and then you sit down and take it off and eat. But you know, the craziest thing that I've seen people talking about, you got to wear a mask at your table, and in between bites, you just, you pull your mask down to bite, and then you put it back on as you're chewing. It's like, really? For real? Is that how we got to do? I mean, come on. That's so silly. And then you're going to have all kind of schmutz and stuff in your mask because you got food dropping in it, and you drinking, and your nose and your lips are sweating, and you got ketchup and everything else on it. That's unsanitary, number one. And number two is ridiculous. I saw one person, I'm not sure if it was a parody. I don't think it was a parody or a joke because it appeared like they were getting filmed without their permission. But I saw one person, they had a mask with a slit in it that could open when they open their mouth. So they had the mask on the whole time as they're eating, but they would just open the slit in the mask to eat. So I was like, what are you even doing? You have a slit in your mask, sir. You're not doing anything to help yourself at all. All them particles are coming out even if you're not eating because that slit is open. I mean, that's like having a trash bag with a hole in the bottom. What are you even doing? Just stop. Just throw that trash bag away and get an actual trash bag that can retain the trash. But I digress. The whole point is that this whole mask phenomenon is getting way out of hand. Totally out of hand. All right. So we got a little while before the debate starts. We got about 9 more minutes. I can't wait. I'm ready. This debate is going to be great. Oh, I won't do a lot of talking during the debate. If you guys have been here in the last debate, I put myself down here in the bottom left-hand corner. I might make a face here and there. I might turn my mic on occasionally, but for the most part, I'm going to be quiet and let the debate pretty much just play out. All right. So y'all don't got to worry about me trying to interrupt and, be talking loud, talking the wrong, talking like during the movie or something like that. I'm not going to do that. But I'm talking right now because the debate has not started yet. Let me see. Matthew Richardson says, ABL, mass work, China wears him and no CV-19 issues. Is that what they say? Okay. Me versus Earth says, Trump infected himself with COVID-19. He would not be able to campaign until the end. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Like, I don't get it. But thank y'all for being here. You guys are the best. I appreciate you. 1,000%. All right. Oh, Quick says, I bet Pence would get called a racist and a sexist the entire debate. Now, if she pulls that R card out of her bag with the hot sauce and chicken wings, whatever else she got in there, that's going to be a problem because it's like, wait a minute, don't call me a racist, man, because you call your man, your president, the guy who you want to be the president, Joe Biden, a racist. Oh, that little girl that couldn't get on the bus was me, and you were against integration. Remember that whole sob story during the previous debate between the Democrats, Kamala Harris, huh? Remember that? If she pulls that R card out of her bag, I'm going to hit her back. It's like playing Uno or Spades, like, bang, you just got trumped ASAP, pun intended. So yeah, don't pull the R card on me. I got a higher trump card that will just demolish that one right there. So don't even try it. All right. So she can't really go the R card route, but she might try to do that. If she does that, it'll just be dumb. You're not playing chess. You're playing tic-tac-toe, and you're gonna get crossed out ASAP in the first go. Okay. Let me see. But yeah, this is going to be a good debate. I can't wait. 1,000%. Yeah, I've been dying to watch. Oh, also, there's a debate next week, of course, between the president and Joe Biden. But Joe Biden is saying that if the president still has a virus, you got to call the debate off. But my whole thing is this. Okay, if you got social distancing, masks, plexiglass, all this, that, and the third, why does it matter? Because the whole point of the distancing and the mask is to prevent the spread of the virus, right? So if they got these plexiglass walls, 20 million feet of distance, all this and that, and the third, what's the problem? You good? I mean, it can't jump 1,000 feet and hit you and infect you. That can't go on. And I don't think Biden really cares about the mask too much because I've seen him out and about with no mask on. So what's really going on? I don't know. But we're going to see what's happening. My man right here has on, hold on, I missed it, but he had on 2 masks, and that was crazy. How you going to have double mask on, sir? What is that? What are you even doing? You're just obstructing your airway for real. Hopefully they show him again, because I'm gonna definitely show that double mask kerfuffle. That was crazy. He had a mask like down this direction, another one up here, but they kind of overlapped. I was like, sir, what are you even doing? Oh, there you go. That's Doug Emhoff. That's her husband. He had on 2 masks as well, it looked like. I'm going to show this right quick. It's just showing the crowd. And I use that term crowd kind of loosely. It's just like a handful of people in the audience. The guy that was just on screen, the guy right there, that's Doug Emhoff. Oh, and that's Kamala Harris' husband right there in the left hand. But the guy right here had on 2 masks, and I think they all have on 2 masks. If they turn to the side, that profile view, you'd be able to see that they may have a mask up under the surface mask. So it's like, what do we even, is that part of the protocol? I'm not really sure. There's no sound because this is not the debate yet. I've turned the sound off. But once we get to the actual debate, I think we'll be ready to go ahead and get rocking and rolling. All right, so we got about 5 good minutes. Let me see. Shout out to Memphis Mike. Memphis Mike says, I listen to you 2-3 times a day on my UPS truck. Go ABL. Thank you for that, man. I appreciate you. And shout out to you for doing what you're doing, man. Shout out to you out there in the M-Town. All right. April Falconer says, ABL wish you would come to my son's school and school them on the difference between the books, the hate that you get, and How to Kill a Mockingbird. Hey, I think that'd be a good idea because there's a lot of propaganda floating around schools for sure. And if I could come in there and just break that propaganda apart, I'd love to do it. Absolutely. All right. So we got a little bit more time to go. About 4 more minutes. I can't wait. And it ain't too much happening right now on in the actual arena, or not arena, but I guess it's an auditorium. Very limited crowd. It's like a handful of people. You guys can't really see it, but it's like those right there. That's pretty. Oh, that's her husband, Doug Emhoff, and you see he has on 2 masks. It's like, what's going on? So it's not a whole lot going on. It's just talking basic stuff about the debate. Oh, she's a moderator. Yep. So that's her. Her name is Susan Page. Is she any kin to Lisa Page of the infamous entanglement between Lisa Page and Peter Strzok and the FBI? I have no idea. Doubtful, but anything is possible. This is 2020, United States of America. Anything is possible. I don't doubt anything at all. All right. Oh, yeah. And to answer the question, somebody asked who's the moderator. That was her right there. Her name is Susan Page. And she is from USA Today. She's the USA Today Washington Bureau Chief, Susan Page. And the location is, let me see, University of Utah in Salt Lake City, Utah. All righty. And I thank you for that. Somebody says, I got the coolest voice in conservatism. I appreciate you for that. Sabolytic. Thank you. Yeah, the 2 masks, I don't really understand. I don't know what's going on with that. Here's a shot of where they are, Kingsbury Hall and Salt Lake City. You see it says Debate 2020 Utah right there on the front. It's a beautiful building. Too bad they can't really have it packed out the way that it should be because of this sweet and sour sniffles, but I digress. I'm just ready to go ahead and get ready to rock and roll. So we got T-minus 2 minutes. Whenever they come out, we'll just jump straight to it and we'll get into the debate. Like I said, I'll be right here in the bottom left-hand corner and you can see the debate right over there. And I won't talk too much. I'll let the debate do the actual talking. All right. So you see where the moderator will be right there. And then you have Kamala and/or VP Pence in that chair, and then the other one on the other chair, and then have the debate that way. So that'd be what it is. It said the moderator is a Karen. That's hilarious. That is funny. All right. Thank you, Patricia. I appreciate you. So we're going to go ahead and get rocking as soon as they get rocking. I'm going to go back to this view right here. I'll turn the sound on as soon as they get going. All right. Let me see. Oh, Beth says the masks are because they are in Salt Lake City where there is still a mandatory mandate. I got you. All right. It makes sense. Yeah, I'm not a mask guy. If I have to wear a mask and I have no choice, then I have no choice. But the mask, I'm just not really with it. Because really, my breathing is just not really, because my airways obstructed. I got to have my nose get maximum oxygen. I don't have a small nose. I got to be able to breathe right. I can run quick, but I got a short tank. Put it like that. Strong lungs, but shallow lungs. Let me see. Moderator will be Chris Wallace's long lost cousin, the Leptar Cletus. All right. So we're at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The debate will be starting anytime now. So I'm just waiting, just patiently waiting, twiddling my thumbs, twiddling my fingers, just ready to get rocking and rolling. So whenever they're ready, we're ready. Wesley Apex says this is the real debate because we all know Harris is the president in the Biden administration. There you go. You know what time it is. I've seen some of those signs that say this is the Harris Biden ticket. And as a matter of fact, I didn't just see signs that said that. I also saw or heard Kamala Harris herself say this is the Harris Biden ticket. And Joe Biden said this is the Harris Biden ticket. The VP name does not go first. The president's name goes first, but that was probably done on purpose to get you ready for it. Thank you to Tim Wesley, who says, hey, ABL, hope all is well. I appreciate what you do. I'm watching videos every day. I was wondering if you can give my cousin a shout out. My cousin and her husband are conservatives and just started a YouTube channel. Their show is called The Tejada Show. Shout out to them. Shout out to The Tejada Show, TEJ80A. Again, TEJ80A. I'll put that here in the chat box, and you guys check it out. If you got a little bit of time, check out The Tejada Show. All right. And thank you for that, Tim Wesley. I appreciate you. Thank you to Jim Z. McCary, who says, love your show, ABL. I appreciate you for that. You guys are the best for super chatting and supporting the stream. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and do that. If you're not coming in, the debate will get started any moment now. We're just kind of waiting for everybody to come out. As a matter of fact, I'll do this view right here until they come on out. There is sound, but I got the sound off because ain't nothing really happening right now. The debaters, VP Pence and the Senator Kamala Harris, are not out yet. So as soon as they come out, we're ready to go ahead and get rocking and rolling. C-SPAN says starts at 9:03. All right. Well, whenever they're ready, I'm ready. Someone said Democrats always late. Hey, it's all good. I'm just ready for it. They can be 2 minutes late. That's fine. I'm not sure who the moderator is. I know who she is. I know her name. Her name is Susan Page from USA Today, but I don't know much about her. I don't really know who she is. You understand? If that makes any sense. So I really have no opinion one way or the other, quite frankly. I hear she's a raging liberal, and I wouldn't doubt it, because if you are in the news industry and you're not on Fox or OAN or Next News Network or something like that, you're pretty much going to be liberal. That's generally how it goes, with rare exceptions. So we'll see how this goes. And I think Pence will do a very good job, because Pence, he does a good job in general. He can keep that calm, cool, and collected type of vibe to himself. And then he can just he can go from 0 to 60 immediately. So I think this would be a very good debate. And Kamala Harris, don't sleep. I won't just say she's going to be terrible, because she is a lawyer. Let's not forget that. She was their attorney general in California, the top cop in California. You know, lock 'em up Harris, Barnum Harris, hang 'em high Harris. All right, here we go.
Good evening. From the University of Utah in Salt Lake City, welcome to the first and only vice presidential debate of 2020, sponsored by the Nonpartisan Commission on Presidential Debates. I'm Susan Page of USA Today. It is my honor to moderate this debate, an important part of our democracy. In Kingsbury Hall tonight, we have a small and socially distant audience, and we've taken extra precautions during this pandemic. Among other things, everyone in the audience is required to wear a face mask, and the candidates will be seated 12 feet apart. The audience is enthusiastic about their candidates, but they've agreed to express that enthusiasm only twice, at the end of the debate and now when I introduce the candidates. Please welcome California Senator Kamala Harris and Vice President Mike Pence.
Thank you.
Senator Harris and Vice President Pence, thank you for being here. We're meeting as President Trump and the First Lady continue to undergo treatment in Washington after testing positive for COVID-19. We send our thoughts and prayers to them for their rapid and complete recovery, and for the recovery of everyone afflicted by the coronavirus. The two campaigns and the Commission on Presidential Debates have agreed to the ground rules for tonight. I'm here to enforce them on behalf of the millions of Americans who are watching. One note, no one in either campaign or at the Commission or anywhere else has been told in advance what topics I'll raise or what questions I'll ask. This 90-minute debate will be divided into 9 segments of about 10 minutes each. I'll begin a segment by posing a question to each of you, sometimes the same question, sometimes a different question on the same topic. You will then have 2 minutes to answer without interruption by me or the other candidate. Then we'll take 6 minutes or so to discuss the issue. At that point, although there will always be more to say, we'll move on to the next topic. We want a debate that is lively, but Americans also deserve a discussion that is civil. These are tumultuous times, but we can and will have a respectful exchange about the big issues facing our nation. Let's begin with the ongoing pandemic that has cost our country so much. Senator Harris, the coronavirus is not under control. Over the past week, Johns Hopkins reports that 39 states have had more COVID cases over the past 7 days than in the week before. 9 states have set new records. Even if a vaccine is released soon, the next administration will face hard choices. What would a Biden administration do in January and February that a Trump administration wouldn't do? Would you impose new lockdowns for businesses and schools and hotspots? A federal mandate to wear masks? You have 2 minutes to respond without interruption.
Thank you, Susan. Well, the American people have witnessed what is the greatest failure of any presidential administration in the history of our country. And here are the facts. 210,000 dead people in our country in just the last several months. Over 7 million people who have contracted this disease. 1 in 5 businesses closed. We're looking at frontline workers who have been treated like sacrificial workers. We are looking at over 30 million people who in the last several months had to file for unemployment. And here's the thing. On January 28th, the Vice President and the President were informed about the nature of this pandemic. They were informed that it's lethal in consequence, that it is airborne, that it will affect young people, and that it would be contracted because it is airborne. And they knew what was happening, and they didn't tell you. Can you imagine if you knew on January 28th, as opposed to March 13th, what they knew, what you might have done to prepare? They knew and they covered it up. The president said it was a hoax. They minimized the seriousness of it. The president said, you're on one side of his ledger if you wear a mask, you're on the other side of his ledger if you don't. And in spite of all of that, today they still don't have a plan. They still don't have a plan. Well, Joe Biden does. And our plan is about what we need to do around a national strategy for contact tracing, for testing, for administration of the vaccine, and making sure that it will be free for all. That is the plan that Joe Biden has and that I have, knowing that we have to get a hold of what has been going on, and we need to save our country. And Joe Biden is the best leader to do that, and frankly, this administration has forfeited their right to re-election based on this.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Vice President Pence, more than 210,000 Americans have died of COVID-19 since February. The U.S. death toll as a percentage of our population is higher than that of almost every other wealthy nation on earth. For instance, our death rate is 2.5 times that of Canada next door. You head the administration's coronavirus task force. Why is the U.S. death toll as a percentage of our population higher than that of almost every other wealthy country? And you have 2 minutes to respond without interruption.
Susan, thank you. And I want to thank the Commission and the University of Utah for hosting this event. And Senator Harris, it's a privilege to be on the stage with you. Our nation has gone through a very challenging time this year. But I want the American people to know that from the very first day, President Donald Trump has put the health of America first. Before, there were more than 5 cases in the United States, all people who had returned from China. President Donald Trump did what no other American president had ever done, and that was he suspended all travel from China, the second largest economy in the world. Now, Senator Joe Biden opposed that decision. He said it was xenophobic and hysterical. But I can tell you, having led the White House Coronavirus Task Force, that decision alone by President Trump bought us invaluable time to stand up the greatest national mobilization since World War II. And I believe it saved hundreds of thousands of American lives. Because with that time, we were able to reinvent testing. More than 115 million tests have been done to date. We were able to see to the delivery of billions of supplies so our doctors and nurses had the resources and support they needed. And we began, really, before the month of February was out, to develop a vaccine and to develop medicines and therapeutics that have been saving lives all along the way. And under President Trump's leadership, Operation Warp Speed, we believe we'll have literally tens of millions of doses of a vaccine before the end of this year. The reality is, when you look at the Biden plan, it reads an awful lot like what President Trump and I and our task force have been doing every step of the way. I mean, quite frankly, when I look at their plan that talks about advancing testing, creating new PPE, developing a vaccine, it looks a little bit like plagiarism, which is something Joe Biden knows a little bit about. And I think the American people know that this is a president who has put the health of America first, and the American people, I believe with my heart, can be proud of the sacrifices they have made. It's saved countless American lives.
Senator Harris, would you like to respond?
Absolutely. Whatever the vice president is claiming the administration has done, clearly it hasn't worked. When you're looking at over 210,000 dead bodies in our country, American lives that have been lost, families that are grieving that loss. And you know, the vice president is the head of the task force and knew on January 28th how serious this was. And then thanks to Bob Woodward, we learned that they knew about it. And then when that was exposed, the vice president said, when asked, well, why didn't y'all tell anybody? He said, because the president wanted people to remain calm.
Well, let's get
no, but Susan, this is important.
Susan,
I want to add, but Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
I'm
speaking.
Yeah, you can have 15 more seconds, and then we'll give the vice president a chance to respond.
So I want to ask the American people, how calm were you when you were panicked about where you're going to get your next roll of toilet paper? How calm were you when your kids were sent home from school and you didn't know when they could go back? How calm were you when your children couldn't see your parents because you were afraid they could kill them?
Let's give Vice President Pence a chance to respond. Vice President Pence, you have 1 minute to respond.
You know, there's not a day gone by that I haven't thought of every American family that's lost a loved one. And I want all of you to know that you'll always be in our hearts and in our prayers. But when you say what the American people have done over these last 8 months hasn't worked, that's a great disservice to the sacrifices the American people have made. The reality, if I may finish, Senator, the reality is Dr. Fauci said everything that he told the president in the Oval Office, the president told the American people. Now, President Trump, I will tell you, has boundless confidence in the American people, and he always spoke with confidence that we'd get through this together. But when you say it hasn't worked, when Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx and our medical experts came to us in the second week of March, they said if the president didn't take the unprecedented step of shutting down roughly half of the American economy, that we could lose 2.2 million Americans. Now, that's the reality.
Thank you.
They also said to us if we did everything right, Susan, we could still lose more than 200,000 Americans.
Vice President
Now, one
Pence,
life lost is too many, Susan. But the American people, I believe, deserve credit for the sacrifices that they have made, putting the health of their family and their neighbors first, our doctors, our nurses, our first responders.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
And I'm going to speak up on behalf of what the American people have done.
Vice President Pence, you were in your administration and congressional officials. No social distancing, few masks, and now a cluster of coronavirus cases among those who were there. How can you expect Americans to follow the administration's safety guidelines to protect themselves from COVID when you at the White House have not been doing so?
Well, the American people have demonstrated over the last 8 months that when given the facts, they're willing to put the health of their families and their neighbors and people they don't even know first. And President Trump and I have great confidence in the American people and their ability to take that information and put it into practice. In the height of the epidemic, when we were losing a heartbreaking number of 2,500 Americans a day, we surged resources to New Jersey and New York and New Orleans and Detroit. We told the American people what needed to be done, and the American people made the sacrifices. When the outbreak in the Sun Belt happened this summer, again, Americans stepped forward. But the reality is the work of the President of the United States goes on. A vacancy on the Supreme Court of the United States has come upon us, and the President introduced Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
Thank you, Vice President
At
Pence.
that, if I may say, that Rose Garden event, there's been a great deal of speculation about it. My wife Karen and I were there and honored to be there. Many of the people who were at that event, Susan, actually were tested for coronavirus, and it was an outdoor event, which all of our scientists regularly and routinely advise. The difference here is President Trump and I trust the American people to make choices in the best interest of their health. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris consistently talk about mandates, and not just mandates with the coronavirus, but a government takeover of health care,
Thank you,
the Green New
Pence.
Deal, all government control. We're about freedom and respecting the freedom of the American people.
Let's talk about respecting the American people. You respect the American people when you tell them the truth. You respect the American people when you have the courage
Which we've
to be a
always
leader,
done.
speaking of those things that you may not want people to hear, but they need to hear so they can protect themselves. But this administration stood on information that if you had as a parent, if you had as a worker, knowing you didn't have enough money saved up, and now you're standing in a food line because of the ineptitude of an administration that was unwilling to speak the truth to the American people. So let's talk about caring about the American people. The American people have had to sacrifice far too much because of the incompetence of this administration. It is asking too much of the people.
Susan, we talked
No,
about
Vice
It
this.
is
President
asking
Pence.
too much of the people.
Look-
That they would not be equipped with the information they need to help themselves to protect
Susan,
their
the
parents
President-
and
No,
their
I'm
children.
sorry. Kamala Harris, Senator Harris, I'm sorry.
It's
I
fine,
meant
I'm
to say-
Kamala.
No, you're Senator Harris to me. For life to get back to normal, Dr. Anthony Fauci and other experts say that most of the people who can be vaccinated need to be vaccinated. But half of Americans now say they wouldn't take a vaccine if it was released now. If the Trump administration approves a vaccine before or after the election, should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If the public health professionals, if Dr. Fauci, if the doctors tell us that we should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it, absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
Vice President Pence, there have been a lot of repercussions from this pandemic. In recent days, the president's diagnosis of COVID-19 has underscored the importance of the job that you hold and that you are seeking. That's our second topic tonight. It's the role of the vice president. One of you will make history on January 20th. You will be the vice president to the oldest president the United States has ever had. Donald Trump will be 74 years old on Inauguration Day. Joe Biden will be 78 years old. That already has raised concerns among some voters, concerns that have been sharpened by President Trump's hospitalization in recent days. Vice President Pence, have you had a conversation or reached an agreement with President Trump about safeguards or procedures when it comes to the issue of presidential disability? And if not, do you think you should? You have 2 minutes without interruption.
Well, Susan, thank you, although I would like to go back.
I think we need to move on
well,
to the
thank
issue
you,
of
but I would like to
vice
go back
presidency.
because the reality is that we're going to have a vaccine, Senator, in record time, in unheard of time, in less than a year. We have 5 companies in phase 3 clinical trials, and we're right now producing tens of millions of doses. So the fact that you continue to undermine public confidence in a vaccine, if the vaccine emerges during the Trump administration, I think is unconscionable. And Senator, I just ask you, stop playing politics with people's lives. The reality is that we will have a vaccine, we believe, before the end of this year. And it will have the capacity to save countless American lives. And your continuous undermining of confidence in a vaccine is it's just unacceptable. And let me also say, the reality is when you talk about failure in this administration, we actually do know what failure looks like in a pandemic. It was 2009. The swine flu arrived in the United States. Thankfully, it ended up not being as lethal as the coronavirus. But before the end of the year, when Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, not 7.5 million people contracted the swine flu, 60 million Americans contracted the swine flu. If the swine flu had been as lethal as the coronavirus, in 2009, when Joe Biden was vice president, we would have lost 2 million American lives. His own chief of staff, Ron Klain, would say last year that it was pure luck that they did, quote, everything possible wrong. And we learned from that. They left the strategic national stockpile empty. They left an empty and hollow plan, but we still learned from it. And I think the American people, I'm going to say again, can be proud of what we have done. And Senator, please stop undermining confidence in a vaccine.
Senator Harris, let me ask you the same question that I asked Vice President Pence, which is, have you had a conversation or reached an agreement with Vice President Biden about safeguards or procedures when it comes to the issue of presidential disability? And if not, and if you win the election next month, do you think you should? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So let me tell you, first of all, the day I got the call from Joe Biden, it was actually a Zoom call, asking me to serve with him on this ticket was probably one of the most memorable days of my life. I thought about my mother, who came to the United States at the age of 19, gave birth to me at the age of 25 at Kaiser Hospital in Oakland, California. And the thought that I'd be sitting here right now, I know would make her proud, and she must be looking down on this. Joe and I were raised in a very similar way. We were raised with values that are about hard work, about the value and the dignity of public service, and about the importance of fighting for the dignity of all people. And I think Joe asked me to serve with him because, I have a career that included being elected the first woman district attorney of San Francisco, where I created models of innovation for law enforcement in terms of reform of the criminal justice system. I was elected the first woman of color and black woman to be elected Attorney General of the state of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice. And there I took on everything from transnational criminal organizations to the big banks that were taking advantage of homeowners, to for-profit colleges that were taking advantage of veterans. And then, of course, now I serve in the United States Senate as only the second black woman ever elected to the United States Senate. I serve on the Senate Intelligence Committee, where I've been in regular receipt of classified information about threats to our nation and hotspots around the world. I've traveled the world. I've met with our soldiers in war zones. And I think Joe has asked me to serve with him because he knows that we share a purpose which is about lifting up the American people. And after the 4 years that we have seen of Donald Trump unifying our country around our common values and principles.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Neither President Trump nor Vice President Biden has released a sort of detailed health information that had become the modern norm until the 2016 election. And in recent days, President Trump's doctors have given misleading answers or refused to answer basic questions about his health. And my question to each of you in turn is this information voters deserve to know? Vice President Pence, would you like to go first?
Well, Susan, thank you. And let me say, on behalf of the President and the First Lady, how moved we've all been by the outpouring of prayers and concern for the President. And I do believe it's emblematic of the prayers and the concern that have ushered forth for every American impacted by the coronavirus. But the care the President received at Walter Reed Hospital, the White House doctors, was exceptional. And the transparency that they practiced all along the way will continue. The American people have a right to know about the health and well-being of their President, and will continue to do that. But I'm just extremely grateful and was more than a little moved by the broad and bipartisan support. And Senator, I want to thank you and Joe Biden for your expressions of genuine concern. And I also want to congratulate you, as I did on that phone call, on the historic nature of your nomination.
Thank you.
I never expected to be on this stage 4 years ago, so I know the feeling. But the reality is we've got an election before the American people in the midst of this challenging year. And the stakes have never been higher, but I think the choice has never been clearer.
I want to give Senator Harris a chance to respond to the same question I asked, which is, do voters have a right to know more detailed health information about presidential candidates and especially about presidents, especially when they're facing some kind of challenge?
Absolutely, and that's why Joe Biden has been so incredibly transparent, and certainly by contrast, the president has not, both in terms of health records, but also let's look at taxes. We now know, because of great investigative journalism, that Donald Trump paid $750 in taxes. When I first heard about it, I literally said, "You mean $750,000? And it was like, no, $750. We now know Donald Trump owes and is in debt for $400 million. And just so everyone is clear, when we say in debt, it means you owe money to somebody. And it'd be really good to know who the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, owes money to, because the American people have a right to know what is influencing the President's decisions. And is he making those decisions on the best interest of the American people, of you, or self-interest? So, Susan, I'm glad you asked about transparency, because it has to be across the board. Joe has been incredibly transparent over many, many years. The one thing we all know about Joe, he puts it all out there. He is honest, he is forthright, but Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been about covering up everything.
Thank you, Senator Harris. I want to give you a chance to respond, Vice President.
Well, look, I respect the fact that Joe Biden spent 47 years in public life. I respect your public service as well.
Thank you.
But the American people have a president who's a businessman, he's a job creator, who's paid tens of millions of dollars in taxes, payroll taxes, property taxes. He's created tens of thousands of American jobs. And the president said those public reports are not accurate. And the president's also released literally stacks of financial disclosures the American people can review just as the law allows. But the distinction here is that Joe Biden, 47 years in public service, compared to President Donald Trump, who brought all of that experience 4 years ago.
Thank you, Vice
and
President.
turned this economy around by cutting taxes, rolling back regulation, unleashing American energy, fighting for free and fair trade, and all of that's on the line if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
You know, that's a good segue into our third topic, which is about the economy. This has been another aspect of life for Americans that's been so affected by this coronavirus. We have a jobs crisis brewing. On Friday, we learned that the unemployment rate had declined to 7.9% in September, but the job growth had stalled, and that was before the latest round of layoffs and furloughs in the airline industry at Disney and elsewhere. Hundreds of thousands of discouraged workers have stopped looking for work. Nearly 11 million jobs that existed at the beginning of the year haven't been replaced. Those hardest hit include Latinos, Blacks, and women. Senator Harris, the Biden-Harris campaign has proposed new programs to boost the economy, and you would pay for that new spending by raising $4 trillion in taxes on wealthy individuals and corporations. Some economists warn that could curb entrepreneurial ventures that fuel growth and create jobs. Would raising taxes put the recovery at risk? And you have 2 minutes to answer uninterrupted.
Thank you. On the issue of the economy, I think there couldn't be a more fundamental difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Joe Biden believes you measure the health and the strength of America's economy based on the health and the strength of the American worker and the American family. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who measures the strength of the economy based on how rich people are doing, which is why he passed a tax bill benefiting the top 1% and the biggest corporations of America, leading to a $2 trillion deficit that the American people are going to have to pay for. On day one, Joe Biden will repeal that tax bill. He'll get rid of it. And what he'll do with the money is invest it in the American people. And through a plan that is about investing in infrastructure, something that Donald Trump said he would do. I remember hearing about some infrastructure week. I don't think it ever happened. But Joe Biden will do that. He'll invest in infrastructure. It's about upgrading our roads and bridges, but also investing in clean energy and renewable energy. Joe is going to invest that money in what we need to do around innovation There was a time when our country believed in science and invested in research and development so that we were an innovation leader on the globe. Joe Biden will use that money to invest in education. So for example, for folks who want to go to a 2-year community college, it will be free. If you come from a family that makes less than $125,000, you'll go to a public university for free. And across the board, we'll make sure that if you have student loan debt, it's cut by $10,000. That's how Joe Biden thinks about the economy, which is it's about investing in the people of our country as opposed to passing a tax bill, which had the benefit of letting American corporations go offshore to do their business.
Thank you,
You're
Senator
welcome.
Harris. Vice President Pence, your administration has been predicting a rapid and robust recovery, but the latest economic report suggests that's not happening. Should Americans be braced for an economic comeback that is going to take not months, but a year or more? You have 2 minutes to answer, uninterrupted.
When President Trump and I took office, America had gone through the slowest economic recovery since the Great Depression. Because when Joe Biden was vice president, they tried to tax and spend and regulate and bail our way back to a growing economy. President Trump cut taxes across the board. Despite what Senator Harris says, the average American family of 4 had $2,000 in savings in taxes. And with the rise in wages that occurred, most predominantly for blue-collar, hardworking Americans, the average household income for a family of 4 increased by $4,000 following President Trump's tax cuts. But America, you just heard Senator Harris tell you, on day one, Joe Biden's going to raise your taxes. It's really remarkable to think, Susan.
That's not what I said.
I mean, right after a time where we're going through a pandemic that lost 22 million jobs at the height, we've already added back 11.6 million jobs because we had a president who cut taxes, rolled back regulation, unleashed American energy, fought for free and fair trade, and secured $4 trillion from the Congress of the United States to give direct payments to families, saved 50 million jobs through the Paycheck Protection Program. We literally have spared no expense to help the American people and the American worker through this. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris want to raise taxes. They want to bury our economy under a $2 trillion Green New Deal, which you were one of the original co-sponsors of in the United States Senate. They want to abolish fossil fuels and ban fracking, which would cost hundreds of thousands of American jobs all across the heartland. And Joe Biden wants to go back to the economic surrender to China, that when we took office, half of our international trade deficit was with China alone. And Joe Biden wants to repeal all of the tariffs that President Trump put into effect to fight for American jobs and American workers. Joe Biden says democracy's on the ballot. Make no mistake about it, Susan. The American economy, the American comeback is on the ballot with 4 more years of growth and opportunity, 4 more years of President Donald Trump. 2021 is going to be the biggest economic year in the history of this country.
Thank you, Vice President Pence. Senator Harris.
Well, I mean, I thought we saw enough of it in last week's debate, but I think this is supposed to be a debate based on fact and truth. And the truth and the fact is Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000 a year.
He said he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well, wait.
I'm speaking.
It'd be important if you said the truth. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. That was tax cuts that gave the average working family $2,000 in a tax break every single year. Senator,
that is
that's the math.
absolutely not true. That
is he only going to repeal part of the Trump tax cuts?
If you don't mind letting me finish, we can then have a conversation, okay?
Please.
Okay. Joe Biden will not raise taxes on anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. He has been very clear about that. Joe Biden will not end fracking. He has been very clear about that. Joe Biden is the one who, during the Great Recession, was responsible for the Recovery Act that brought America back. And now the Trump-Pence administration wants to take credit when they rode the coattails of Joe Biden's success for the economy that they had at the beginning of their term. Of course, now the economy is a complete disaster. But Joe Biden, on the one hand, did that. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who has reigned over a recession that is being compared to the Great Depression. On the one hand, you have Joe Biden, who was responsible with President Barack Obama for the Affordable Care Act, which brought health care to over 20 million Americans and protected people with pre-existing conditions. And what it also did is it saved those families who otherwise were going bankrupt because of hospital bills they could not afford. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who's in court right now, trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which means that you will lose protections if you have pre-existing conditions. And this is very important, Susan.
Yes,
and it's
but
important.
we need to give Vice President.
I'd just like to, he interrupted me, and I'd like to just finish, please. If you have a pre-existing condition, heart disease, diabetes, breast cancer, they're coming for you. If you love someone who has a pre-existing condition, they're coming for you. If you are under the age of 26 on your parents' coverage, they're coming for you.
Senator Harris, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me give you a chance to respond.
Well, I hope we have a chance to talk about health care because Obamacare was a disaster. The American people remember it well. And President Trump and I have a plan to improve health care and to protect pre-existing conditions for every American. But look, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. You yourself said on multiple occasions when you were running for president that you would ban fracking. Joe Biden looked at a supporter in the eye and pointed and said, I guarantee that we will abolish fossil fuels. They have a $2 trillion version of the Green New Deal, Susan, that your newspaper, USA Today, said really wasn't that very different from the original Green New Deal. More taxes, more regulation, banning fracking, abolishing fossil fuel, crushing American energy, and economic surrender to China is a prescription for economic decline. President Trump and I will keep America growing. The V-shaped recovery that's underway right now will continue with 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House.
Thank you very, very much, Vice President Pence. Once again, you've provided the perfect segue to a new topic, which is climate change. And Vice President Pence, I'd like to pose the first question to you. This year, we've seen record-setting hurricanes in the South. Another one, Hurricane Delta, is now threatening the Gulf. And we have seen record-setting wildfires in the West. Do you believe, as the scientific community has concluded, that man-made climate change has made wildfires bigger, hotter, and more deadly, and have made hurricanes wetter, slower, and more damaging? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Thank you, Susan. Well, first, I'm very proud of our record on the environment and on conservation. According to all of the best estimates, our air and land are cleaner than any time ever recorded. And our water is among the cleanest in the world. And just a little while ago, the President signed the Outdoors Act. It's the largest investment in our public lands and public parks in 100 years. So President Trump has made a commitment to conservation and to the environment. Now, with regard to climate change, the climate is changing. But the issue is, what's the cause and what do we do about it? President Trump has made it clear that we're going to continue to listen to the science. Now, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would put us back in the Paris Climate Accord. They'd impose the Green New Deal, which would crush American energy, would increase the energy costs of American families in their homes, and literally would crush American jobs. And President Trump and I believe that the progress that we have made in a cleaner environment has been happening precisely because we have a strong free market economy. You know, what's remarkable is the United States has reduced CO2 more than the countries that are still in the Paris Climate Accord, but we've done it through innovation. And we've done it through natural gas and fracking, which, Senator, the American people can go look at the record. I know Joe Biden says otherwise now, as you do, but the both of you repeatedly committed to abolishing fossil fuel and banning fracking. And so by creating the kind of American innovation, we're actually steering toward a stronger and better environment. With regard to wildfires, President Trump and I believe that forest management has to be front and center, and even Governor Gavin Newsom from your state has agreed we've got to work on forest management. And with regard to hurricanes, the National Oceanic Administration tells us that actually as difficult as they are,
Thank you, Vice President.
There are no more hurricanes today than there were 100 years ago.
Thank you.
But many of the climate alarmists use hurricanes and wildfires to try and sell their bill of goods of a Green New Deal. And President Trump and I are going to always put American jobs and American workers first.
Senator Harris, as the Vice President mentioned, you co-sponsored the Green New Deal in Congress. But Vice President Biden said in last week's debate that he does not support the Green New Deal. But if you look at the Biden-Harris campaign website, it describes the Green New Deal as a crucial framework. What exactly would be the stance of a Biden-Harris administration toward the Green New Deal? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. So first of all, I will repeat, and the American people know, that Joe Biden will not ban fracking. That is a fact. That is a fact. I will repeat that Joe Biden has been very clear that he thinks about growing jobs, which is why he will not increase taxes for anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. Joe Biden's economic plan, Moody's, which is a reputable Wall Street firm, has said will create 7 million more jobs than Donald Trump's. And part of those jobs that will be created by Joe Biden are going to be about clean energy and renewable energy. Because you see, Joe understands that the west coast of our country is burning, including my home state of California. Joe sees what is happening on the Gulf states, which are being battered by storms. Joe has seen and talked with the farmers in Iowa, whose entire crops have been destroyed because of floods. And so Joe believes, again, in science. I'll tell you something, Susan. I served, when I first got to the Senate, on the committee that's responsible for the environment. Do you know this administration took the word science off the website and then took the phrase climate change off the website? We have seen a pattern with this administration, which is they don't believe in science. And Joe's plan is about saying we're going to deal with it, but we're also going to create jobs. Donald Trump, when asked about the wildfires in California, and the question was, you know, the science is telling us this, you know what Donald Trump said? Science doesn't know. So let's talk about who is prepared to lead our country over the course of the next 4 years on what is an existential threat to us as human beings. Joe is about saying we're going to invest that in renewable energy. It's going to be about the creation of millions of jobs. We will achieve net zero emissions by 2050, carbon neutral by 2035. Joe has a plan. This has been a lot of talk from the Trump administration, and really it has been to go backward instead of forward. We will also re-enter the climate agreement with pride.
Senator Harris just said that climate change is an existential threat. Vice President Pence, do you believe that climate change poses an existential threat?
As I said, Susan, the climate is changing. We'll follow the science. But once again, Senator Harris is denying the fact that they're going to raise taxes on every American. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that on day one he was going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. Those tax cuts delivered $2,000 in tax relief to the average family of four across America. And with regard to banning fracking, I just recommend that people look at the record. You yourself said repeatedly that you would ban fracking. You were the first Senate co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. And while Joe Biden denied the Green New Deal, Susan, thank you for pointing out, the Green New Deal is on their campaign website. And as USA Today said, it's essentially the same plan as you co-sponsored with AOC when she submitted it in the Senate. And you just heard the senator say that she's going to resubmit America to the Paris Climate Accord. Look, the American people have always cherished our environment. We'll continue to cherish it. We've made great progress reducing CO2 emissions through American innovation and the development of natural gas through fracking. We don't need a massive $2 trillion Green New Deal that would impose all new mandates on American businesses and American families.
Thank you.
Joe Biden wants us to retrofit 4 million American business buildings. It makes no sense. It will cost jobs. President Trump is going to put America first. He's going to put jobs first, and we're going to take care of our environment and follow the science.
Thank you,
Vice President. On the issue of jobs,
Senator Harris,
let's talk about that. The Vice President earlier referred to, as part of what he thinks is an accomplishment, the President's trade war with China. You lost that trade war. You lost it. What ended up happening is because of a so-called trade war with China, America lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs. Farmers have experienced bankruptcy because of it. We are in a manufacturing recession because of it. And when we look at where this administration has been, there are estimates that by the end of the term of this administration, they will have lost more jobs than almost any other presidential administration. And the American people know what I'm talking about. You know, I think about 20-year-olds. You know, we have a 20-year-old, a 20-something-year-old, who are coming out of high school and college right now, and you're wondering, is there going to be a job there for me? We're looking at people who are trying to figure out how they're going to pay rent by the end of the month. Almost half of American renters are worried about whether they're going to be able to pay rent by the end of the month. This is where the economy is in America right now, and it is because of the catastrophe and the failure of leadership of this administration.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Vice President Pence, let me give you just 15 seconds to respond, because then I want to move on to
Well, I'd love to respond. Look, lost the trade war with China. Joe Biden never fought it. Joe Biden has been a cheerleader for communist China through over the last several decades. And again, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts. When Joe Biden was vice president, we lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs, and President Obama said they were never coming back. He said we needed a magic wand to bring them back. In our first 3 years after we cut taxes, rolled back regulation, unleashed American energy, this administration saw 500,000 manufacturing jobs created. And that's exactly the kind of growth we're going to continue to see as we bring our nation through this pandemic. But a Green New Deal, your massive new mandates, your Paris Climate Accord, it's going to kill jobs this time, just like it killed jobs.
I just need to respond very briefly.
15 seconds, and then we'll move on.
Thank you. Joe Biden is responsible for saving America's auto industry, and you voted against it. So let's set the record straight. Thank you.
I'd like to talk about China. We have, as our next topic, we have no more complicated or consequential foreign relationship than the one with China. It is a huge market for American agricultural goods. It's a potential partner in dealing with climate change in North Korea. And in a video tonight, President Trump again blamed it for the coronavirus, saying China will pay. Vice President Pence, how would you describe our fundamental relationship with China? Competitors, adversaries, enemies? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Susan. Well, before I leave that, let me speak to voting records if I can. You know, everybody knows that NAFTA cost literally thousands of American factories to close. We saw automotive jobs go south of the border. President Trump fought to renegotiate NAFTA. And the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement is now the law of the land. American people deserve to know Senator Kamala Harris was one of only 10 members of the Senate to vote against the USMCA. It was a huge win for American auto workers. It was a huge win for American farmers, especially dairy in the upper Midwest. But Senator, you said it didn't go far enough on climate change, that you put your radical environmental agenda ahead of American auto workers and ahead of American jobs. I think the American people deserve to know that. It's probably why Newsweek magazine said that Kamala Harris was the most liberal member of the United States Senate in 2019. More liberal than Bernie Sanders, more liberal than any of the others in the United States Senate. So now with regard to China, look, Susan, first and foremost, China is to blame for the coronavirus. And President Trump is not happy about it. He's made that very clear, made it clear again today. China and the World Health Organization did not play straight with the American people. They did not let our personnel into China to get information on the coronavirus until the middle of February. Fortunately, President Trump, in dealing with China from the outset of this administration, standing up to China that had been taking advantage of America for decades in the wake of Joe Biden's cheerleading for China, President Trump made that decision before the end of January to suspend all travel from China. And again, the American people deserve to know Joe Biden opposed President Trump's decision to suspend all travel from China. He said it was hysterical. He said it was xenophobic.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
But President Trump has stood up to China. We're going to continue to stand strong.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
We want to improve the relationship, but we're going to level the playing field, and we're going to hold China accountable for what they did to America with the coronavirus.
Thank you. Senator Harris, let me ask you the same question that I asked the Vice President. How would you describe our fundamental relationship with China? Are we competitors, adversaries, enemies? You'll have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Susan, the Trump administration's perspective and approach to China has resulted in the loss of American lives, American jobs, and America's standing. There's a weird obsession that President Trump has had with getting rid of whatever accomplishment was achieved by President Obama and Vice President Biden. For example, they created within the White House an office that basically was responsible for monitoring pandemics. They got rid of it.
Not true.
There was a team of disease experts that President Obama
China?
and Vice President Biden dispatched to China to monitor what is now predictable and what might happen. They pulled them out. We now are looking at 210,000 Americans who have lost their lives. Let's look at the job situation. We mentioned before the trade deal, the trade war, they wanted to call it, with China. It resulted in the loss of over 300 manufacturing jobs and a manufacturing recession, and the American consumer paying thousands of dollars more for goods because of that failed war that they called it. Then let's talk about standing. Pew, a reputable research firm, has done an analysis that shows that leaders of all of our formerly allied countries have now decided that they hold in greater esteem and respect Xi Jinping, the head of the Chinese Communist Party, than they do Donald Trump, the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States. This is where we are today because of a failure of leadership by this administration.
Senator Harris, we've seen changes in the role of the United States in terms of global leadership over the past 4 years. And of course, times do change. What's your definition? We've seen strains with China, of course, as the Vice President mentioned. We've seen strains with our traditional allies in NATO and elsewhere. What is your definition of the role of American leadership in 2020?
So, you know, Joe is, I love talking with Joe about a lot of these issues. And, you know, Joe, I think he said it quite well. He says, you know, foreign policy, it might sound complicated, but really it's relationships. So just think about it as relationships. And so we know this in our personal and professional relationships. You got to keep your word to your friends. Got to be loyal to your friends. People who've stood with you, got to stand with them. You got to know who your adversaries are and keep them in check. But what we have seen with Donald Trump is that he has betrayed our friends and embraced dictators around the world. Let's take, for example, Russia. So, Russia, I serve on the Intelligence Committee of the United States Senate. America's intelligence community told us Russia interfered in the election of the President of the United States in 2016 and is playing in 2020. Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, said the same. But Donald Trump, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America, prefers to take the word of Vladimir Putin over the word of the American intelligence community. You look at our friends at NATO. He has walked away from agreements. You can look at the Iran nuclear deal, which now has put us in a position where we are less safe because they are building up what might end up being a significant nuclear arsenal. We were in that deal, guys. We were in the Iran nuclear deal with friends, with allies around the country. And because of Donald Trump's unilateral approach to foreign policy, coupled with his isolationism, he pulled us out and has made America less safe. So, Susan, it's about relationships. And the thing that has always been part of the strength of our nation, in addition to our great military, has been that we keep our word. But Donald Trump doesn't understand that because he doesn't understand what it means to be honest.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Vice President Pence, let me give you a chance to respond.
Well, thank you. Well, President Trump kept his word when we moved the American embassy to Jerusalem, the capital of the state of Israel. When Joe Biden was vice president, they promised to do that, and they never did. We've stood strong with our allies, but we've been demanding. NATO is now contributing more to our common defense than ever before, thanks to President Trump's leadership. We've strengthened our alliances across the Asia-Pacific, and we've stood strong against those who would do us harm. You know, when President Trump came into office, ISIS had captured an area of the Middle East the size of Pennsylvania. But President Trump unleashed the American military, and our armed forces destroyed the ISIS caliphate and took down their leader, al-Baghdadi, without one American casualty. Al-Baghdadi was responsible for the death of thousands. But notably, America's hearts today are with the family of Kayla Mueller, her parents of which are here with us tonight in Salt Lake City. Today, 2 of the ISIS killers responsible for Kayla Mueller's murder were brought to justice in the United States. Jihadi John was killed on the battlefield along with the other beetle. The reality is that when Joe Biden was vice president, we had an opportunity to save Kayla Mueller. It breaks my heart to reflect on it, but the military came into the Oval Office, presented a plan. They said they knew where Kayla was. Baghdadi had held her for 18 months, abused her mercilessly before they killed her. But when Joe Biden was vice president, they hesitated for a month. And when armed forces finally went in, it was clear she'd been moved 2 days earlier. And her family says with a heart that broke the heart of every American that if President Donald Trump had been president, they believe Kayla would be alive today.
Thank you, Vice
Look,
President.
we destroyed the ISIS caliphate. And you talk about re-entering the Iran nuclear deal. I mean, the last administration transferred $1.8 billion to the leading state sponsor
Thank you, Vice
of
President
terrorism.
Pence.
President Donald Trump got us out of the deal.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
And when Qasem Soleimani was traveling to Baghdad
Thank you,
to do
Vice President
harm
Pence.
to Americans, President Donald Trump took
Thank you,
him
Vice
out.
President Pence.
And America is safer, our allies are safer, and the American people know President Donald Trump will never
Thank you, Vice President
take
Pence.
action.
I would like to give Senator Harris a chance to respond, but not at such great length because, of course, there are other topics we want to talk about.
But I would like equal time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
First of all, to the Mueller family, I know about your daughter's case, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What happened to her is awful, and it should have never happened. And I know Joe feels the same way. And I know that President Obama feels the same way. But you mentioned Soleimani. Let's start there. So after the strike on Soleimani, there was a counter strike on our troops in Iraq. And they suffered serious brain injuries. And do you know what Donald Trump dismissed them as? Headaches. And this is about a pattern of Donald Trump's, where he has referred to our men who are serving in our military as suckers and losers. Donald Trump, who went to Arlington Cemetery and stood above the graves of our fallen heroes and said, what's in it for them? Because, of course, you know, he only thinks about what's in it for him. Let's take what he said about John McCain, a great American hero. And Donald Trump says he doesn't deserve to be called a hero because he was a prisoner of war. And this is very important when you want to talk about who is the current commander-in-chief and what they care about and what they don't care about. Public reporting that Russia had bounties on the heads of American soldiers. And you know what a bounty is? It's somebody puts a price on your head and they will pay it if you are killed. And Donald Trump had talked at least 6 times to Vladimir Putin and never brought up the subject. Joe Biden would never do that.
Thank you.
Joe Biden would, but Joe Biden would hold Russia to account for any threat to our nation's security or to our troops who are sacrificing their lives for the sake of our democracy and our safety.
Thank you, Senator Harris. This is such an important issue, but we have other important issues as well. And
Susan,
I want to make sure we have a chance
I really have
to talk
to respond
about
to that. Look, She has
15 seconds because
Well, I gotta
we're
have
trying
more
to
than
keep.
that. Look.
Well, I'm sorry, but Vice President Pence, you've had more time than she's had so far.
The slanders against President Donald Trump regarding men and women of our armed forces are absurd.
I'm sorry, Vice President
My son
Pence.
is a captain in the United
Yes.
States Marine Corps. My son-in-law is deployed in the United States Navy. I can assure all of you, with sons and daughters serving in our military, President Donald Trump not only respects but reveres all of those who serve in our armed forces, and any suggestion otherwise is ridiculous.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
the
Vice
The
President
American
Pence,
people
you know,
deserve, Susan,
Vice
the
President
American
Pence,
people
I
deserve to
didn't,
know.
Vice President
There's a
Pence, I did not,
pattern that you
excuse
can't
me,
deny.
Susan, the
I did
American
not
people
create
deserve
the
to know
rules for tonight.
Joe Biden
Your
and Kam-
campaigns agreed to the rules for tonight's debate with the Commission on Presidential Debates. I'm here to enforce them, which involves moving from one topic to another, giving roughly equal time to both of you,
Go right
which is what I'm trying very hard to do.
Go right ahead.
So I want to go ahead and move to the next topic, which is an important one, as the last topic was, and that is the Supreme Court. On Monday, the Senate Judiciary Committee is scheduled to open hearings on Amy Coney Barrett's nomination to the Supreme Court. Senator Harris, you'll be there as a member of the committee. Yes. Her confirmation would cement the court's conservative majority and make it likely open to more abortion restrictions, even to overturning the landmark Roe v. Wade ruling. Access to abortion would then be up to the states. Vice President Pence, you're the former governor of Indiana. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, what would you want Indiana to do? Would you want your home state to ban all abortions? You have 2 minutes, uninterrupted.
Well, thank you for the question, but I'll use a little bit of my time to respond to that very important issue before. The American people deserve to know Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general, was responsible for the death of hundreds of American service members. When the opportunity came, we saw him headed to Baghdad to kill more Americans. President Trump didn't hesitate, and Qasem Soleimani is gone. But you deserve to know that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris actually criticized the decision to take out Qasem Soleimani. It's really inexplicable, but with regard to Joe Biden, it's explainable. Because history records that Joe Biden actually opposed the raid against Osama bin Laden. It's absolutely essential that we have a commander-in-chief who will not hesitate to act to protect American lives and to protect American service members, and that's what you have in President Donald Trump. Now, with regard to the Supreme Court of the United States, let me say President Trump and I could not be more enthusiastic about the opportunity to see Judge Amy Coney Barrett become Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Now, she's a brilliant woman, and she will bring a lifetime of experience and a sizable American family to the Supreme Court of the United States. And our hope is, in the hearing next week, unlike Justice Kavanaugh received with treatment from you and others, we hope she gets a fair hearing. And we particularly hope that we don't see the kind of attacks on her Christian faith that we saw before. I mean, the Democrat chairman of the Judiciary Committee before, when Judge Barrett was being confirmed for the Court of Appeals, expressed concern that the dogma of her faith lived loudly in her. Dick Durbin of Illinois said that it was a concern. Senator, I know one of our judicial nominees you actually attacked because they were a member of the Catholic Knights of Columbus, just because the Knights of Columbus holds pro-life views and pro-marriage views.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
So
Your time
my hope is
up.
that when the hearing takes place,
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
that Judge Amy Coney Barrett will be respected,
Thank you,
treated
Vice President
respectfully,
Pence.
voted and confirmed
Thank
to the
you.
Supreme Court of the United States.
Senator Harris, you're the senator from and former Attorney General of California. So let me ask you a parallel question to the one I posed to the Vice President. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, what would you want California to do? Would you want your home state to enact no restrictions on access to abortion? And you have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Thank you, Susan. First of all, Joe Biden and I are both people of faith, and it's insulting to suggest that we would knock anyone for their faith. And in fact, Joe, if elected, will be only the second practicing Catholic as President of the United States. On the issue of this nomination, Joe and I are very clear, as are the majority of the American people. We are 27 days before the decision about who will be the next president of the United States. And, you know, before, when this conversation has come up, you know, it's been about election year or election time. We're literally in an election. Over 4 million people have voted. People are in the process of voting right now. And so Joe has been very clear, as the American people are. Let the American people fill that seat in the White House, and then we'll fill that seat on the United States Supreme Court. And to your point, Susan, the issues before us couldn't be more serious. There's the issue of choice, and I will always fight for a woman's right to make a decision about her own body. It should be her decision and not that of Donald Trump and the Vice President, Michael Pence. But let's also look at what else is before the court. It's the Affordable Care Act. Like, literally in the midst of a public health pandemic, when over 210,000 people have died and 7 million people probably have what will be in the future considered a pre-existing condition because you contracted the virus. Donald Trump is in court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. And I said it before, and it bears repeating. This means that there will be no more protections, if they win, for people with pre-existing conditions. Yeah. This means that over 20 million people will lose your coverage. It means that if you're under the age of 26, you can't stay on your parents' coverage anymore. And here's the thing. The contrast couldn't be more clear. They're trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. Joe Biden is saying, let's expand coverage. Let's give you a choice of a public option or private coverage. Let's bring down premiums.
Thank you, Senator
Let's
Harris.
lower Medicare eligibility to 60.
Thank you, Senator
That's true
Harris.
leadership.
You know, you mentioned earlier, Vice President Pence, that the president was committed to maintaining protections for people with pre-existing conditions. But you do have this court case that you are supporting, your administration supporting, that would strike down the Affordable Care Act. The president says, President Trump says that he's going to protect people with pre-existing conditions, but he has not explained how he would do that. And that was one of the toughest nuts to crack when they were passing the Affordable Care Act. So tell us specifically, how would your administration protect Americans with pre-existing conditions to have access to affordable insurance if the Affordable Care Act is struck down?
Well, thank you, Susan. But let me just say, addressing your very first question, I couldn't be more proud to serve as vice president to a president who stands without apology for the sanctity of human life. I'm pro-life. I don't apologize for it. And this is another one of those cases where there's such a dramatic contrast. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris support taxpayer funding of abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. Late-term abortion. They want to increase funding to Planned Parenthood of America. Now, for our part, I would never presume how Judge Amy Coney Barrett would rule on the Supreme Court of the United States, but we'll continue to stand strong for the right to life. When you speak about the Supreme Court, though, I think the American people really deserve an answer, Senator Harris. Are you and Joe Biden going to pack the court if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed? I mean, there have been 29 vacancies on the Supreme Court during presidential election years, from George Washington to Barack Obama. Presidents have nominated in all 29 cases. But your party is actually openly advocating adding seats to the Supreme Court, which has had 9 seats for 150 years, if you don't get your way. This is a classic case of, if you can't win by the rules, you're going to change the rules. Now, you've refused to answer the question. Joe Biden has refused to answer the question. So I think the American people would really like to know, if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed to the Supreme Court of the United States, are you and Joe Biden, if somehow you win this election, going to pack the Supreme Court to get your way?
I'm so glad we went through a little history lesson. Let's do that a little more.
Answer the question.
In 1864...
Well, I'd like you to answer the question.
No, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Okay. In 1864, one of the, I think, political heroes, certainly of the president, I assume of you also, Mr. Vice President, is Abraham Lincoln. Mm-hmm. Abraham Lincoln was up for re-election, and it was 27 days before the election, and a seat became open on the United States Supreme Court. Abraham Lincoln's party was in charge not only of the White House, but the Senate. But Honest Abe said it's not the right thing to do. The American people deserve to make the decision about who will be the next president of the United States, and then that person can select who will serve for a lifetime on the highest court of our land. And so Joe and I are very clear The American people are voting right now, and it should be their decision about who will serve on this most important body for a lifetime.
Thank you,
And the
Senator
American
Harris.
people, Susan, are voting right now. They'd like to know if you and Joe Biden are going to pack the Supreme Court if you don't get your way in this nomination.
Let's talk about packing.
You once
Come
again
on.
gave a non-answer. Joe Biden gave a non-answer.
Trying to answer you
the
now.
American people deserve a straight answer. And if you haven't figured it out yet, the straight answer is they are going to pack the Supreme Court if they somehow win this election. Men and
Mr.
women,
Vice President,
I got to
I
tell you,
think
people across this country, if you cherish our Supreme Court, if you cherish the separation of powers, you need to reject the Biden-Harris ticket. Come November the 3rd, re-elect President Donald Trump, and we'll stand by that separation of powers in a 9-seat Supreme Court.
Yeah, let's talk about packing the court then. Let's talk about the
Please.
fact. Yeah, I'm about to. So the Trump-Pence administration has been, because I sit on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Susan, as you mentioned, and I've witnessed the appointments for lifetime appointments to the federal courts, district courts, courts of appeal. People who are purely ideological, people who have been reviewed by legal professional organizations and found to have been not competent, are substandard. And do you know that of the 50 people who President Trump appointed to the Court of Appeals for lifetime appointments, not one is black? This is what they've been doing. You want to talk about packing a court? Let's have that discussion.
All right, thank you, Senator. Let's go on and talk about the issue of racial justice.
I just want the record to reflect she never answered the question. So I think the American people,
Thank
maybe
you.
in the next debate, Joe Biden will answer the question,
you,
but I think
thank
the
you.
American people know the answer.
Thank you, Vice President. In March, Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old emergency room technician in Louisville, was shot and killed after police officers executing a search warrant in a narcotics investigation broke into her apartment. The police said they identified themselves. Taylor's boyfriend said he didn't hear them do that. He used a gun registered to him to fire a shot, which wounded an officer. The officers then fired more than 20 rounds into the apartment. They say they were acting in self-defense. None of them have been indicted in connection with her death. Senator Harris, in the case of Breonna Taylor, was justice done? You have 2 minutes.
I don't believe so. And I've talked with Breonna's mother, Tamika Palmer, and her family. And her family deserves justice. She was a beautiful young woman. She had as her life goal to become a nurse, and she wanted to become an EMT to first learn what's going on out on the street so she could then become a nurse and save lives. And her life was taken unjustifiably and tragically and violently. And it brings me to, the 8 minutes and 46 seconds that America witnessed, during which an American man was tortured and killed under the knee of an armed, uniformed police officer. And people around our country of every race, of every age, of every gender, perfect strangers to each other, marched shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, fighting for us to finally achieve that ideal of equal justice under law. And I was a part of those peaceful protests. And I believe strongly that, first of all, we are never going to condone violence, but we always must fight for the values that we hold dear, including the fight to achieve our ideals. And that's why Joe Biden and I have said on this subject, look, and I'm a former career prosecutor. I know what I'm talking about. Bad cops are bad for good cops. We need reform of our policing in America and our criminal justice system, which is why Joe and I will immediately ban chokeholds and carotid holds. George Floyd would be alive today if we did that. We will require a national registry for police officers who break the law. We will, on the issue of criminal justice reform, get rid of private prisons and cash bail, and we will decriminalize marijuana, and we will expunge the records of those who have been convicted of marijuana. This is a time for leadership on a tragic, tragic issue of unarmed black people in America who have been killed.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Vice President Pence, let me pose the same question to you. In the case of Breonna Taylor, was justice done? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Well, our heart breaks for the loss of any innocent American life. And the family of Breonna Taylor has our sympathies. But I trust our justice system, a grand jury that refused the evidence. And it really is remarkable that as a former prosecutor, you would assume that an impaneled grand jury looking at all the evidence got it wrong. But you're entitled to your opinion, Senator. I think, look, and with regard to George Floyd, there's no excuse for what happened to George Floyd. And justice will be served. But there's also no excuse for the rioting and looting that followed. I mean, it really is astonishing. Flora Westbrook is with us here tonight in Salt Lake City. Just a few weeks ago, I stood at what used to be her salon. It was burned to the ground by rioters and looters. And Flora is still trying to put her life back together. And I must tell you, this presumption that you hear consistently from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, that America is systemically racist, and that, as Joe Biden said, that he believes that law enforcement has an implicit bias against minorities, is a great insult to the men and women who serve in law enforcement. And I want everyone to know who puts on the uniform of law enforcement every day that President Trump and I stand with you. And it is remarkable that when Senator Tim Scott tried to pass a police reform bill, brought together a group of Republicans and Democrats, Senator Harris, you got up and walked out of the room. And then you filibustered Senator Tim Scott's bill on the Senate floor that would have provided new accountability, new resources. But we don't have to choose between supporting law enforcement, improving public safety, and supporting our African American neighbors and all of our minorities. Under President Trump's leadership, we'll always stand with law enforcement, and we'll do what we've done from day one, and that is improve the lives of African Americans.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
Record unemployment, record investments in education, and we'll fight for school choice for all of our minorities.
Thank you, Vice President.
I'd like to respond.
Senator Harris.
I will not sit here and be lectured by the Vice President on what it means to enforce the laws of our country. I am the only one on this stage who has personally prosecuted everything from child sexual assault to homicide. I'm the only one on this stage who has prosecuted the big banks for taking advantage of America's homeowners. I'm the only one on this stage who prosecuted for-profit colleges for taking advantage of our veterans. And the reality of this is that we are talking about an election in 27 days, where last week the President of the United States took a debate stage in front of 70 million Americans and refused to condemn white supremacists.
Not true.
And
not true.
It wasn't like he didn't have a chance. He didn't do it, and then he doubled down. And then he said, when pressed, stand back, stand by. And this is a part of a pattern of Donald Trump's. He called Mexicans rapists and criminals. He instituted as his first act a Muslim ban. He, on the issue of Charlottesville, where people were peacefully protesting the need for racial justice, where a young woman was killed, and on the other side there were neo-Nazis carrying tiki torches, shouting racial epithets, anti-Semitic slurs. And Donald Trump, when asked about it, said there were fine people on both sides. This is who we have as the President of the United States. And America, you deserve better. Joe Biden will be a president who brings our country together.
Senator Harris.
And recognizes the beauty in our diversity and the fact that we all have so much more in common than what separates us.
Vice President Pence, let me give you a minute to respond.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that very much. You know, I think this is one of the things that makes people dislike the media so much in this country, Susan, is that you selectively edit, just like Senator Harris did, comments that President Trump and I and others on our side of the aisle make. I mean, Senator Harris conveniently omitted, after the president made comments about people on either side of the debate over monuments, He condemned the KKK, neo-Nazis, and white supremacists, and has done so repeatedly. You're concerned that he doesn't condemn neo-Nazis. President Trump has Jewish grandchildren. His daughter and son-in-law are Jewish. This is a president who respects and cherishes all of the American people. But you talk about having personally prosecuted. I'm glad you brought up your record, Senator.
Thank you.
But I really need to make this point. When you were DA in San Francisco, when you left office, African Americans were 19 times more likely to be prosecuted for minor drug offenses than whites and Hispanics. When you were Attorney General of California, you increased the disproportionate incarceration of blacks in California. You did nothing on criminal justice reform in California. You didn't lift a finger to pass the First Step Act on Capitol Hill. I mean, the reality is your record speaks for itself. President Trump and I have fought for criminal justice reform.
Thank you, Vice President
We've fought
Pence.
for educational choice and opportunities for African Americans, all of our
Thank
minorities.
you, sir.
And we'll do it for 4 more
Thank
years.
you. You know, there is no more important issue than the final issue that we're going to talk about tonight, and that is the issue of the election itself.
Susan, he attacked my record. I would like an opportunity to respond.
Let me give you 30 seconds because we're running out of time.
I appreciate that. First of all, having served as the Attorney General of the state of California, the work that I did is a model of what our nation needs to do, and we will be able to do under a Joe Biden presidency. Our agenda includes what this administration has failed to do. It will be about not only instituting a ban on chokeholds and carotid holes.
Thank you.
Not only.
Thank you, Senator
I
Harris.
would like to go through.
These are points that you made earlier in the hour, and I want to talk about the election itself before we have to.
But I want to talk about the connection between what Joe and I will do and my record, which includes I was the first statewide officer to institute a requirement that my agents would wear body cameras and keep them on full time. We were the first to initiate a requirement that there would be a training for law enforcement on implicit bias because, yes, Joe Biden and I recognize that implicit bias does exist, Mr. Vice President, contrary to what you may believe. We did the work of instituting reforms that were about investing in reentry. This is the work that we have done and the work we will do going forward. And again, I will not be lectured by the Vice President on our record of what we have done in terms of law enforcement and keeping our communities safe and a commitment to reforming the criminal justice system of America.
Thank you, Senator Harris. And I'd like to pose I'd like you to respond first to the question on our final topic, the election itself. President Trump has several times refused to commit himself to a peaceful transfer of power after the election. If your ticket wins and President Trump refuses to accept a peaceful transfer of power, what steps would you and Vice President Biden then take? What would happen next? You have 2 minutes.
So I'll tell you, Joe and I are, I think, particularly proud of the coalition that we've built around our campaign. We probably have one of the broadest coalitions of folks that you've ever seen in a presidential race. Of course, we have the support of Democrats, but also independents and Republicans. In fact, 7 members of President George W. Bush's cabinet are supporting our ticket. We have the support of Colin Powell, Cindy McCain, John Kasich, over 500 generals, retired generals, and former national security experts and advisors are supporting our campaign. And I believe they are doing that because they know that Joe Biden has a deep, deep-seated commitment to fight for our democracy and to fight for the integrity of our democracy and to bring integrity back to the White House. And so we believe in the American people. We believe in our democracy. And here's what I'd like to say to everybody. Vote. Please vote. Vote early. Come up with a plan to vote. Go to iwillvote.com. You can also go to joebiden.com. We have it within our power in these next 27 days to make the decision about what will be the course of our country for the next 4 years. And it is within our power, and if we use our vote and we use our voice, we will win. And we will not let anyone subvert our democracy with what Donald Trump has been doing, as he did on the debate stage last week, when again in front of 70 million people, he openly attempted to suppress the vote. Joe Biden, on the other hand, on that same debate stage, because clearly Donald Trump doesn't think he can run on a record because it's a failed record, Joe Biden on that stage said, hey, just please vote. So I'll repeat what Joe said. Please vote.
Thank you, Senator. Vice President Pence, President Trump has several times refused to commit himself to a peaceful transfer of power after the election. If Vice President Biden is declared the winner and President Trump refuses to accept a peaceful transfer of power, what would be your role and responsibility as Vice President? What would you personally do? You have 2 minutes.
Well, Susan, first and foremost, I think we're going to win this election. Because while Joe Biden and Kamala Harris rattle off a long litany of the establishment in Washington, D.C., an establishment that Joe Biden's been a part of for 47 years, President Donald Trump has launched a movement of everyday Americans from every walk of life. And I have every confidence that those same Americans that delivered that historic victory in 2016, they see this president's record where we rebuild our military, we revived our economy through tax cuts and rolling back regulation, fighting for fair trade, unleashing American energy. We appointed conservatives to our federal courts at every level. And we stood with the men and women of law enforcement every single day. And I think that movement of Americans has only grown stronger in the last 4 years. But when you talk about accepting the outcome of the election, I must tell you, Senator, your party has spent the last 3.5 years trying to overturn the results of the last election. It's amazing. When Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, the FBI actually spied on President Trump and my campaign. I mean, there were documents released this week that the CIA actually made a referral to the FBI documenting that those allegations were coming from the Hillary Clinton campaign. And of course, we've all seen the avalanche, what you put the country through for the better part of 3 years until it was found that there was no obstruction, no collusion, case closed. And then, Senator Harris, you and your colleagues in the Congress tried to impeach the President of the United States over a phone call. And now Hillary Clinton has actually said to Joe Biden that in her words, under no circumstances should he concede the election. So let me just say, I think we're going to win this election. President Trump and I are fighting every day in courthouses to prevent Joe Biden and Kamala Harris from changing the rules and creating this universal mail-in voting that will create a massive opportunity for voter fraud. And we have a free and fair election. We know we're going to have confidence in it. And I believe in all my heart that President Donald Trump's going to be reelected for 4 more years.
You know, I've written all the questions that I've asked tonight, but for the final question of the debate, I'd like to read a question that someone else wrote. The Utah Debate Commission asked students in the state to write essays about what they would like to ask you. And I want to close tonight's debate with the question posed by Brecklin Brown. She's an 8th grader at Springville Junior High in Springville, Utah. And here's what she wrote, quote, "When I watch the news, all I see is arguing between Democrats and Republicans. When I watch the news, all I see is citizen fighting against citizen. When I watch the news, all I see are 2 candidates from opposing parties trying to tear each other down. If our leaders can't get along, how are the citizens supposed to get along?" And then she added, "Your examples could make all the difference to bring us together," end quote. So to each of you in turn, I'd like you to take 1 minute and respond to Brecklin. Vice President Pence, you have 1 minute.
Brecklin, it's a wonderful question. And let me just commend you for taking an interest in public life. I started following the news when I was very young. And in America, we believe in a free and open exchange of debate. And we celebrate that. And it's how we've created literally the freest and most prosperous nation in the history of the world. But I would tell you that don't assume that what you're seeing on your local news networks is synonymous with the American people. You know, I look at the relationship between Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the late justice who we just lost from the Supreme Court, and the late Justice Antonin Scalia. They were on polar opposites on the Supreme Court of the United States, one very liberal, one very conservative. But what's been learned since her passing was the 2 of them and their families were the very closest of friends. I mean, here in America, we can disagree. We can debate vigorously, as Senator Harris and I have on this stage tonight. But when the debate is over, we come together as Americans. And that's what people do in big cities and small towns all across this country. So I just want to encourage you, Brecklin. I want to tell you that we're going to work every day to have government as good as our people. And the American people each and every day love a good debate. We love a good argument. But we always come together and are always there for one another.
Thank you,
in
Vice
times of
President.
need. And we've especially learned that
Thank you,
through
Mr.
the
Vice President.
difficulties of this year.
Senator Harris, what would you say to Brecklin?
First of all, I love hearing from our young leaders. And when I hear her words, when I hear your words, Brecklin, I know our future is bright because it is that perspective on who we are and who we should be that is a sign of leadership and is something we should all aspire to be. And that, that brings me to Joe. Joe Biden, one of the reasons that Joe decided to run for president is after Charlottesville, which we talked about earlier. It so troubled him and upset him like it did all of us, that there was that kind of hate and division. What propelled Joe to run for president was to see that over the course of the last 4 years, what Brecklin described has been happening. Joe has a long-standing reputation of working across the aisle and working in a bipartisan way. And that's what he's going to do as president. Joe Biden has a history of lifting people up and fighting for their dignity. You have to know Joe's story to know that Joe has known pain, he has known suffering, and he has known love. And so, Brecklin, when you think about the future, I do believe the future is bright. And it will be because of your leadership, and it will be because we fight for each person's voice through their vote, and we get engaged in this election because you have the ability through your work and through eventually your vote
Thank you,
to
Senator
determine
Harris.
the future of our country and what its leadership looks like.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Thank you, Vice President Pence. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We want to thank also the University of Utah for its hospitality, and most of all, our thanks to all the Americans who watched this debate tonight. Again, our best wishes for a quick recovery to President Trump, the First Lady, and everyone who is battling COVID-19. The second presidential debate is next week on October 15th, a town hall-style debate in Miami. We hope you'll join us then. Good evening.
All right, so that's the end of the debate right there. There goes Kamala Harris and her husband, Doug Emhoff. And there's Mike Pence and his wife, Karen Pence. Awkward, no handshake afterwards. Double masks, no mask from Miss Pence. I can't hear what they're saying at all. It's just low sound. All right, so that's pretty much the end of the debate right there. Doing a little bit of a photo shoot right quick. And I thank y'all for joining. I think Mike Pence did a very good job. Really cool, calm, and collected. The moderator was kind of on Kamala Harris' side, but she was more even as the debate wore on, in my humble opinion. So that was that. And I thank y'all again for joining us tonight for the debate. I got super chats to read right quick, so don't go nowhere just yet. I'm going to just hang tight for a minute. Hold on. Matter of fact, I see some of the crowd leaving. There's no sound because the sound is off. They're not playing any more sound. I just want you to see a little bit of the crowd leaving, the little bit of the crowd that's there. Maybe it might be like 20, 30 people. It's not a whole lot of people in the crowd. I think it's more media and people taking pictures than actual crowd. I'm not sure why they're going, okay, that's probably the media. And then there's crowd behind that. Okay, so I see. You got like a socially distanced crowd. I didn't even see them. I saw those in front. I didn't see those that were kind of in the back. All right, so that's pretty much what it is. right there. And again, thank y'all for being here. You guys are the best audience on the internet, so I appreciate y'all. All right, super chats on deck. I'm gonna read those right quick, and then we go ahead and wrap it on up and put a bold slam on it. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, if you're a first-time viewer, please go ahead and subscribe right now. I'd most certainly appreciate it. That'd be the best thing. But I will be live again sometime soon. I'll do a recap of this. I'll do a recap. When would that be? Like tomorrow, obviously. And I'll talk about what's going on then. I won't do any calls tonight because I got to go here in a little bit. But I'm going to read the super chats and then I'm out. All right. So let's go. And if I don't read your super chat, it's probably because it didn't catch it for some reason. Let's go from the beginning. Thank you to Cutesy Face McGee for the donation. I appreciate you. Thank you to Mixed Girl POV for your donation or for becoming a member of the ABL squad as a supporter. Same thing with Cutesy Face McGee. And thank you to Modern Renaissance Man for becoming a supporter. I appreciate you, boss. Thank you to JJ Money who says, you could have been an hour late and I'd still be here, ABL. Keep up the good work. I appreciate you, man. Thank you to Jared Gunter who says this, that, and the third. There you go. Shout out to Blue Sharpie who says every time she lies, you take a drink. Oh, man, you be dead. If you played that drinking game, you'd be dead right now. And that's facts. All right. Shout out to Russia with Ronald for becoming an ABL supporter. Christopher Gray says, ABL, my guy, appreciate you covering that story. Okay, I already read that one. Thank you to Andrew Finn who says, great job, ABL. Doreen M. Mokin says, love you, Anthony. I appreciate you. Thank you for that. Thank you to Frederick Craig who says, hey, ABL, do you think Pence is going to bring up kill Mala's attorney general record? Oh, we saw that he did bring that up. He did a very good job bringing it up. Love you, Trump 2028. Thank you to Mixed Girl POV for upgrading to being a member of the ABL squad. Thank you to Jaja who says, nowhere else I'd rather watch the debates. Well, I'm glad you were able to watch it here if you stayed throughout the entirety. Shout out to, let me see, Drift Madness who says, me and the wife love your video. Shout out to the wife, Melissa. Yeah, shout out to Melissa. And thank y'all for watching if you made it all the way through to the end. Jose FR says, Jesus is Lord. Young Irk 420 says, for the tip jar, great work, sir. Let me see, Controlled Chaos says, take a shot every time Kamala laughs hysterically. Hey, man, like I said, if you took a shot every time she lied or did something crazy, you'd be dead right now. Straight alcohol poisoning, no more liver at all. Instant liver transplant if you could get one. Thank you to Lynette G who says, nice to be here watching History with you, ABL. Well, I thank you for that. Stacy Felice says, prediction, Harris will look like a boozy airhead. Pence will be cool and smooth. Love you, ABL. Thank you for that. That's pretty much what happened in my humble opinion. I'm reading super chats from earlier on. That was like at about 8:30. So these are kind of predictions of what the debate was going to be. And they're pretty much on point in my humble opinion. Alex Patriot says Ben Shapiro 2024. Andy Shot Show says Spike Cohen should be allowed to debate too. Libertarians deserve representation too. Well, who are you going to debate? You're going to debate Kamala Harris? I mean, in reality, I understand where you're coming from, but let's just be honest. Do you think that anybody has a chance of winning on the libertarian side? I mean, I don't think so, but I do understand your point. Thank you to Dan Stenka who says, big white fan of your brother, love your channel. Motel of Lamos Bees. I know I butchered that and I'm sorry. Thank you for your donation. Thank you to Drift Madness who says, can I put an 80 millimeter turbo on my Nissan 720? I can't do nothing with you on that one, boss. This ain't no car channel, but thank you for your donation. Thank you to Andy Shot Show who says Susan Page is writing Pelosi's biography. Oh, really? Is she? Very interesting. All right. Thank you to, let me see, Talex 001 who says Rick Grinnell or ABL 2024. I appreciate you. A Swede Speaks. Thank you for that, man. He says 4 more years. MAGA. Tim Wesley says they should let you be moderator so everyone can get their point across, especially if they cut you off in your question. Sir. Yeah, exactly. Because I get it out there. They ain't going to cut me off. And I'll be fair to everybody. The moderator this time was much better than Chris Wallace. And that's facts. Much better than Chris Wallace. All right. But then again, you got Pence. He's more cool than Trump, but still, Chris Wallace was terrible. Even though she was pretty liberal still and kind of leaned towards Kamala, it was better. For sure. What do you guys think about the moderators? You do a good job, bad job, better than Chris Wallace, how do you feel that she did? Thank you to Brian Stevenson, who says, ABL, how do you think Pence will come at, oh, I already read that one. But his question was, how do you think Pence will come at Harris? Oh, by the way, Daniel Cameron for president and Candace Owens VP, vice versa 2024. Christopher Gray says, oh, I read that one too. Santo Barte says, for states like New Jersey that are mail-in voting only, people can put their ballots in the envelope and hand deliver it to polling locations. That's a good, hey, I like that better than having to mail it and you don't know where it goes. I like that much better. Ian Kinney says, ABL, you have to check out Gates & O's article, A Guide to Number Games. Sir Pedro, thank you for your donation with the one-up emoji with the hungry hippo chomping it. Thank you to Miss Nino 0220 who says, thanks, ABL. Golden Volition says, I heart you all, love you all. Ryan Walker says, can we get an ABL versus Harris debate? Like I read that one earlier, but I'm with it. I'd love to do that debate. Alan Randall says, Kamala will just be like Biden and deny. That's not true. That's been debunked and avoid answering the heavy questions. That was a pretty good, guess of what was going to happen during the debate. That was at around 8:46 that donation came through. That's pretty accurate because the big question that did not get answered was, are you going to pack the court? Will you pack the court? Dodgeball, Matrix, didn't want to answer it at all. So the heavy questions, not trying to answer. Cash P says, thanks, ABL, so I do not have to tune in to fake news. Haji's wife says, thanks for hosting ABL. No problem. Thank you for your donation. Thank you to Stephen Kemp, who says, Kamala will start off strong, then melt like an ice cube. She has zero authenticity. She belongs to the Pelosi, Newsom, San Francisco conglomerate. Yeah. And she didn't really start off strong. She kind of had the same energy throughout. But you know what? She had a certain level of energy at the beginning, and then that did kind of fade, although what she started off with was not very super high, okay? And then when them tough questions came, she was stumbling and bumbling, okay? Taking a lot from her man, Joe Biden. That gets to Matthew Phillips, who says, you think women's sports are done for the next year or two because of wokeness? I mean, depending upon what it is, it might be done for good. The WNBA, that's a wrap. Because the WNBA was only subsidized by the NBA. And if the NBA are having a 50% drop, 68% drop in the finals viewing, oh man, it's done, man. It's over. If you have nobody in the stands, nobody watching the game at home, how are you going to get that money? It's going to be a problem. And they already making like $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year to play WNBA basketball, compared to LeBron James getting like hundreds of millions. I mean, because nobody watches the WNBA. The WNBA is an NBA pet project, but I digress. This ain't sports time right now. Shout out to the Weaver, who says, Pence is a smooth operator indeed. He will do just fine. Daniel J. Corica says, the rules for the crowd at the debate about masks were extremely draconian. If they remove them, they will be removed by law enforcement. Wow. Take it to Lily, who says every time she says something negative, Pence should say, oh, just a debate. She doesn't mean it. Exactly. Because that's what she said after the whole thing about her and Joe Biden trying to call him a racist, all this, that, and the third. So very good point. Let me see. A. Dello says, any bets on how long it will take for her to use the race, sex, victim card? That came out pretty early. I'm not exactly sure when that card came out, but that race card did come out talking about black judges and whatnot. So yeah, that card most certainly did come out. And the whole thing about George Floyd, that came out too. Thank you to Smoking Nace OK, who says, smoke like a ham, ABL's new catchphrase. Keep up the great work, Anthony Trump 2020. Appreciate you for that. Golden Volition says, I love you all. Retro Gamer 81 says, how many times will she say it was a debate? Surprisingly, she didn't say that, not from what I heard, but she might as well have said it. That's pretty much her catchphrase now. Let me see. Thank you to Birds Nation 302, who says, longtime viewer, keep up the good work, ABL. Appreciate you for that. Rawson says, one poll had Biden winning Arkansas. Polls are fake. Exactly. Derek F says, she just got to pull the race card. Everything is a hard question, or she gets in a tight spot. Okay, yeah, she'll just do that. She'll get into a tight spot. Right. Chris Waldrop says, we all need to really take the time to acknowledge how important people like ABL are. We all pray for you, sir. In the Lone Star State, we have had your back since day one. Texas A&M University has your sixth brother. Giggle and whoop. Thank you for that, man. I appreciate you, boss. 100%. All right. Take it to Me versus Earth, who says, Trump affecting himself. Already read that one. Ian Kennedy says, Governor Everett here in Wisconsin just ordered all small businesses to operate on 25% capacity. Wow. Crazy. Can we get past this whole virus scare at a certain point, or are we never going to do it? That's what I want to do. Aaron Cole says the polls will create more TDS. You know the thing. Orestes Moja says, or Moja, hopefully I didn't butcher your name, says, much love and respect from Louisiana. You are on the right side of history, ABL. Keep up the Lord's work. Hey, will do. Long as y'all are here, I'm here. I appreciate you for that. Thank you to Christopher Graves, who says Harris will choke as usual. And I think she did. She didn't do a really good job. What do you guys think? I think we all know who won the debate. You know, if you're watching it with me, you probably know that Pence won it. But how do you think that Pence did versus Kamala Harris? What do you rate her performance on the 1 to 10 versus Pence on the 1 to 10? Let me see. Ryan Sorrow says they're going to go after his religion and his stance on the LGBT community. Watch it happen. Cheryl H, thank you for your thumbs up cat emoji donation. Thank you to Bart versus Windshield, who says, hope Pence says Harris Biden a few times. By the end, Kimmy will say it too. I was waiting on that. Actually, I was waiting on that to happen. I don't think it did happen, but I was most certainly waiting on it. Cheryl H says, debates are better on your channel. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you to B Music, who says, y'all donate ABL, doing a lot, showing this for us. Thanks, ABL, for everything you do, especially for us in the Black community. Hey, I appreciate you. I thank you for that, man. It really means a lot to me, so I appreciate you for that. Mary Harvey says, I hope that Kamala's about her husband. I hope they ask Kamala about her husband's task to China. Yeah, good point. Denny Wong, thank you for your donation with the backwards hat emoji and a thumbs up. The plant-based homestead says, thank you for standing on the principles of America, being a teacher and common sense. Our family loves you, ABL. Love you right back. Thank you for that. I appreciate you guys. Thank you to Jimsy McCary, who says, love your show, ABL. I appreciate you for that. Also, I'm going to read this one more time. I read it earlier. I'm going to read it again. Tim Wesley says, hey, ABL, hope all is well. I appreciate what you do and I watch your videos every day. I was wondering if you can give my cousin a shout out. My cousin and her husband are conservatives and just started a YouTube channel. Their show is called The Tejada Show. So you guys check out The Tejada Show. TEJADA SHOW right here on YouTube. So I'll place that right there in the chat box. So you got to check them out whenever you get a chance. Thank you to Mary Harvey, who says, I hope they ask Kamala. Already read that one. Oh, nah, I didn't read this one. Mary Harvey says, I hope they ask Kamala about her husband's ties to China. Question conflict of interest. Reaper Death to All Death says, ABO, you the man, keep up the good work. Thank you to Zylox Dragon, who says, I've never seen you live before, so this is the first time dropping you some cash. Thank you for what you do. Hey, no problem, man. Thank you for that. Thank you to Crunchy D, who says, shout out to ODU and everyone that lived on 42nd Street. I graduated in 2001. All right, shout out to you. I came a little bit later. You know, I came like after I was kind of done with the community college. So yeah, shout out to Lambert's Point, all that good stuff out there at ODU. Hey, if you're living out Lambert's Point and by ODU, I say invest and invest. But different story, I digress. Thank you to my main man, Jericho Green, who says, I wonder if she tried to sleep with Pence backstage. He's over 60. Hilarious. Shout out to Willie Brown out there in San Francisco. Jamaican Cute Gal says, Candace ABL 2024. I appreciate you for that and your very kind words. Jim Allen became an ABL supporter. Thank you for that. Thank you to Clinton Carr, who says, volume up, please. I fixed that. Hopefully the volume was good and the sound was on point during the debate. I turned my gain up manually through software, so hopefully it worked out fine for you guys. And you were able to hear the debate loud and clear. A patriotic woman says, let's get ready to rumble. This is towards the beginning of the debate. So I'm kind of like waiting my way through it here. Finding Scruple says, looking forward to your impressions, sir. Yeah, that'll come out tomorrow for sure. Holly T. Lightwork says, can she answer the question? She did not do that a lot during the debate. Avatar says, Kamala Harris is getting answers through her pearls. Hey, that's possible. John D. has a laughing cat emoji. I appreciate you for that. Thank you to Child of Yah, who says, I like the way Mike P. smiles. I wish I could smile like that at all my haters. Thank you to John D. again for your donation. Thank you to Jose FR, who says, she gets a rebuttal. Thank you to Human Vegetable, who says, the reason why there's plexiglass is to prevent the VP from passing out from Kamala sulfuric stink. Wow, that was a pretty detailed burn right there. Thank you to John D again for your donation. It says, my hero. Hotep Tiger says, Pence, aka Johnny Quest, gonna wash that shine Kamala. Hey, Pence is race banning. Shout out to race banning. That's Michael Pence all day long. And that's facts. Hold on. Matter of fact, if I could pull a picture up right quick, I'd do it. Yeah, that's race banning. Hold on. Let me put this up right quick. And I'm gonna just put it on the screen so you guys can see. Like these memes right here. I saw this on Twitter. I just happened to be checking it out. So yeah, that's your man, Mike Pence. That's him. I mean, the likeness is uncanny. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know if life is imitating art or vice versa, but I'll move right on. Thank y'all again for being here. If you guys are first-time viewers or you're not subscribed yet for whatever the reason may be, please subscribe to the channel right now. Now, I appreciate you for that, but I'm going to get back to Super Chats, and then I'll wrap it on up, put the bow on the top. Thank you to my Paul Jeter for becoming an ABL supporter. Thank you to Xavier Matthews, who says, thanks, ABL. Keep it up, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you to Paladin Stacker, who says, Iron Mike Pence all day. Thank you to John D, who says, time to get to the deal. Who can make a better footlong? Retro Gamer 81 says, OMG, Karen, stop interrupting. Who agreed on 30-second time limits? I have no idea. Good question. Thank you to Ty Nicholas, who says, we need Joe Rogan debate so it's 4 hours and they can talk. That's what I want. I want a full podcast between Trump and Joe Biden. That's what I want. I want Joe Rogan and just to be the moderators to keep things going, and then have an actual podcast that is seen as a debate. That's what I want. Now, can Joe Biden survive that long? I don't think so. I think not. But Trump, on the other hand, can go ahead and get things rocking. But since he had the virus, they were like, oh, you're in too close of a space. But I said, you know what? All right, rather than Joe Rogan being in his little pill bread box space alien shuttle, they can go outside. They can go on the street somewhere with heavy security and do that way. But I'll move on. Let me see. Simon Smith says, wow, this moderator is interrupting even more than Wallace. She did do a little interruption towards the end of the statements, and she did it more to Mike Pence than Kamala Harris. But then towards the end, she kind of made it be even to kind of make up for it. All right. Let me see. Ashley K says Kamala spoke 3 minutes more than Pence. Not surprised at all, because the moderator was kind of scared to interrupt Kamala Harris to move on to the next topic, but she had no issue interrupting Mike Pence until the very end. And then she got a little bit brave and started to interrupt Kamala Harris the same way. She might have got a bug in the air that says, hey, you're giving her more time. You're not being forceful. Go ahead and do the same thing you did to Mike Pence to end their talk and get on to the next point. So that's probably what happened. That's probably why she got more talking time. Talking about, oh, you spoke more than Kamala Harris. I can't tell. 3 minutes more, that's a big amount of time. Because people thought that Trump spoke more than Joe Biden, and he did, but it was only about 1 minute. So 3 minutes is a long time, but I'll move on. Thank you to Matthew Phillips, who says, Harris choking on that vaccine question. Hashtag communism. Jose FR says, you make anything mandatory. Sounds like a dictatorship. Exactly. A4C01, thank you for your donation. Thank you to Special Inspector, who says, Kamala Harris, thumbs down. Thank you to Matthew Richardson, who says, moderator only let surface level discussion happen. Yeah, that's a fact. Golden Volition says, those skulls around her neck. Nah, those are pearls, if I'm not mistaken. So shout out to the pearls or skulls, whatever they were. Lego Star Wars NSFW says, down on socialism. Mandatory Carry says, still observing. Hashtag October log out. Sorry, gotta go. Joy Campbell, thank you for your donation. Thank you to Jose FR, who says, look up, coronavirus in an old encyclopedia. It's the common flu. Don't be fooled. Golden Volition, thank you for your donation. Thank you to J Blitz Comics, who says, is it me or is VP Pence getting less time? Oh, it's not you, sir. And that was at 9:39 that he was able to see that. So somebody just said right there in the chat that he got 3 less minutes than Kamala Harris. No surprise. All right. Thank you to Mike Hex, who says, come and use Cardi B and her so-called WAP. LOL, Harris is a joke. Stephanie Grace says Kamala Cavell is obnoxious and unlikable, snarky and smirky, not presidential. Facts. Big time facts. Thank you to Laura M, who says, great work. I appreciate for you. Thank you for your donation. Most certainly appreciate that. Thank you to Blue Indigo Gal, who says the VP is so smooth with the U.S. flags. I agree. Brian S, thank you for your donation. Thank you to Matthew Richardson, who says East Coast isn't burning. Science. Exactly. Right. Why is it just California that's burning and nowhere else? Why not Arizona and Nevada? Why is it the left coast specifically? What's going on there? Bad forest management, but we'll move right along. Savvy D says Harris talks about Joe because she's not going to do any of this, but Joe won't make it for years. James ZTV, thank you for your donation. Thank you to my man, Kelsey99, who says, ABL, all she could talk about is finding a job. Why not make your own job? Be your own boss. Just saying. Very good point. Thank you to Donna D'Alicio for your donation. Thank you to Finding Scruples, who says, answer the question, Hag. Queen of Deflection. Probably talking about the whole thing of packing the court. Or maybe it was something else she deflected on that she just refused to answer. Because she did that a few times. Thank you to Jarrett Matthews for your donation. Thank you to JMZ TV for your donation. Thank you to I'm Just Saying for your donation. Thank you to Iron Cowgirl, Asterix Bree for becoming a member of the ABL squad as a supporter. Thank you to Home Caress Me 32, who says Kamala Harris is full of it. Ladybug, thank you for your confused hippo emoji donation. Thank you to Sam G, who says Kamala never says anything. It's all moral platitudes and bumper stickers speak. Yeah, you know what? Throughout the debate, I was getting the feeling that she just took every little one-liner, every anti-Trump one-liner and used it. Okay, he doesn't believe in the science. Good people on both sides. Taking your Obamacare away. It's like, all right, where's your actual policy yet? You sound like the girl that just watches TV casually at a party and she's halfway drunk talking to you. You know, it's an SNL skit. You guys know probably know what I'm talking about. She's like that on a debate stage. I'm like, man, that's not going to get it done. You got to come with some real information, some real facts, and break things down in a real way. And she always repeated herself. That was a really common thread throughout the whole thing. She did a lot of repetition. Thank you to Jeff Cox, who says, I wish he mentioned the Chinese payout to Biden. Oh, yeah, that would have been a good thing to talk about. Thank you to Matthew Phillips, who says, Kamala on China, what the flying F is she saying? I have no idea. Bina, or Bina, hopefully I didn't butcher your name, says, it's Xi Jinping, not Gigi Pin. And how old is your kid again, ma'am? Yeah, she was kind of confused about that. Kamala Harris does not have children of her own. She has stepchildren. And at a certain point, she was like, oh, my kids are like 20-something. I don't know. I think Pence had to correct her about her kid's age or her stepchild's age because her husband, Doug Emhoff, has 2 kids from the previous marriage, but she does not have kids. Those are his kids. But I digress. Razor Sharp Thoughtfulness says Pence is like surging with his arguments. Juan Delgado, thank you for your laughing emoji donation. I appreciate you, boss. Thank you to Spirit Shinobi, who says Trump has massive support from allies. Fake news. Sam G says Warhawk, talking about Kamala. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Thank you to Ramza Beluv, who says Kamala Harris is no bueno. Prince is a boss. America is more educated than this. ABO, thanks for all the lessons. No problem. Thank you for your kind words and your donation. Thank you to Slammy and Brandon, who says, I almost feel guilty watching horrible Harris get destroyed. Hey, don't feel guilty. It is what it is. You get into the game, you got to play. If you don't want to play the game, then go ahead, exit out. You know, fold, put the cards on the table, walk away. Thank you for your donation. Thank you to Sam G, who says Trump is the first president in 40 years to not start a new war. Kamala is a war hawk. Facts. Big time facts. Thank you to Blue Indigo Gal for your donation, who says, she passionately says nothing. Thank you to Virginia. That's a great name. Shout out to Virginia, my state where I grew up. She says, thank you, ABL. No problem. Thank you for your donation and your very kind words. Thank you to Jose FR, who says, what about Portland? When are the riots going to end? Good question. Bina says, please someone explain what bounty, quote unquote, bounty is. The American people need a lesson on basic English words. Lawfish66 says Pence only needs 2 seconds for the abortion question. LMFAO, F that S. Relax Mellow says Pence is killing it. Hello, ABL and viewers. Words of Zap says, let's put this in perspective. In 2020, we have had just over 200,000 COVID deaths. In 2017, there were over 800,000 abortions. Let's put it in perspective and see what's going on. Good point. Clucky's Chicken says, Due to ABL educating us, we can see through Kamala's lies. Thank you, ABL. No problem. Thank you for your very kind words and your donation. Thank you to Threat Level Midnight, who says, I'm a veteran. I support the president. What he supposedly said about our military personnel are lies, and the left know that. Exactly. By the whole suckers and losers comment. Again, that's the whole bumper sticker, watching the news, getting little sound bites and internalizing that. Just like a regular normie on the street with no education. And you a lawmaker, you're in the Senate talking like that. I mean, it's crazy. Now, if you got the VP pick talking like that on TV, and she's a senator, like in government right now, imagine how others in the Senate are thinking about Trump and where they're getting information from. They're watching CNN and believing it just like a regular normie would, which is crazy because you're educated, you're in the government, you know what's going on, but you believe in the fake news CNN. That's crazy. But I move right along. Thank you to Threat Level Midnight. I read that one. Thank you to Tanisha Williams, who says, please tell me why she didn't answer any questions. She talked around them. Exactly. She went all the way around the question without actually addressing the question. All right. Let me see. Thank you to Bina, who says, it's Bina. Okay, I got you. If you're 27 and need to be on your parents' insurance still, you need to get off that PS4 and go get a job. Exactly. If you're about to be 30 years old, on your parents' insurance, what are we doing? If you at home because of the virus, you lost your job, okay. But if you've not left the house and you're 27 years old, what are you doing? You need to be working and doing something to get yourself out there because, time's a wasting. Especially if you're a male. If you're a male that old at home, come on, we got to get things moving here. Thank you to Slammin' Brandon, who says, I'm sorry, all I heard was blah, blah, blah. I'm a dirty shrimp. I didn't say that. I was reading the comment. Thank you to Matt Ream, who says, new slogan, you're entitled to your own opinion, not your own facts. Love it. Pence killed it. By the way, much respect. ABL, keep it up. Harris is so full of lies. Exactly. Thank you to Quirky Circle, who says, late but glad to be here. Thanks for all the work you do, ABL. May God bless you and keep you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you to Stephanie Grace, who says, Democrats want babies dead, but not from COVID. There you go. Andrew Lucero said, thanks for hosting, ABL. Love your videos. Keep up the good work. It's Just Me says, thank you, ABL, for doing this. Great channel, and I watch daily. I appreciate you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Welcome, 215. Thank you for your donation. Jay Murphy says, Shrap Queen got shot. Talking about Breonna Taylor. Great donation and comment. Jose FR says, burn, loot, murder, talking about BLM. Supreme Reader says, Breonna wasn't a nurse, but she did work with drugs. Wow. Hey, too soon, but not too soon. Jam Hen says, oh, it's a debate now. Go Pence, shut the evil queen down. Sushi says, I have strained my eyes from rolling them so hard. Thanks, Kamala. Yeah, it was some eye rolling moments during the debate for sure, and that's a fact. Into 1997 says, we need to reform criminal behavior. Exactly. How about that? Chris Williams says, big fan from Alaska. Love what you do. Keep up the great work. Super chat won't give me enough characters to type, so I'll say this. Mike, drop Pence. Get off the emotions, Harris. Very good. Like that one. Juan Carlos Hernandez, thank you for your donation. Thank you to David Dahmer, who says, rock on ABL. Zigzag Wanderer, thank you for your donation. Thank you to Raylene Diaz, who says, what a time to be alive. Thank you, ABL. Thank you to White Mouse for your donation with the missing message. Thank you to Renee Anderson for your donation. Hammer says, it's okay, all the athletic Americans are taking the knee to America's hope, meaning NBA ratings down 70%. Happy day. There you go. Slammin' Brandon says, gotta love that multicultural white supremacy. Shaking my head, talking about the Proud Boys, all them. Yeah, exactly. Again, that's them CNN talking points. You're just watching the news and whatever they say, you believe it without even doing any kind of background investigation. It's pretty lazy on Kamala Harris's part. And again, if you're talking about somebody in office, that's not who I want. I want a competent person in office, not just a casual news watcher. Thank you to Charles Hunter Jr., who says, President Trump never called Mexicans racist or rapists, pardon me. And Harris lied about Charlottesville. VP Pence will nail it. Delisha G, thank you for your donation. She said, thank you, ABL. This debate lets me know I need to pray harder for this nation. Pence nailed it, though. And you're right about that. On point. Thank you to May Will, who says, thanks, ABL. Trump, Pence, 2020. Jared Gutner says, Smug Harris, ugh. Steve Turner said, this is my first time sharing with you my money. You have responsibility to bring the wrath of God at the end of this debate. Hey, man, I thank you for that. I appreciate you, boss. Supreme Reader says, Pence is dealing with flies while Kamala just lies. Yeah, you know what? That whole fly thing, the fly that was in his hair, that's going to be the main thing that the left takes away is a fly in his hair. That's going to be their talking point. I was tweeting at the same time when I was doing the live stream with you guys. And I was, as soon as the fly thing happened, all the low IQ Twitter accounts, like Breakfast Club, all of them, they instantly, oh, it's a fly in his hair. Oh, the whole debate, they were quiet about all the rest of everything else. But as soon as the fly came out, oh, it's a fly, ha. Well, what about the actual debate and the things that were going on in policy? They don't know anything about no policy. They know about, oh, it's a fly, you know. So that will be the topic of conversation tomorrow at the water cooler. Oh, you see the fly? He's nasty. He was rotting on stage, but I'll move on. All right, if they get to Indy 1997, who says, was there ever a peaceful transfer of power in 2016? These questions are trash. No, there was not a peaceful transfer of power. You're talking about before the transfer happened, there was spying. Then you had the Russia collusion kerfuffle. Then you had the Ukraine thing. Then you got Stormy Daniels and all kind of other stuff. There was not a peaceful transition of power at all. They've been trying to get Trump out of the way before he even became the president. So how can there be a transition that's peaceful when there was not a peaceful campaign to begin with? But I'll move right along. Okay, let me see. Charles Turner Jr. says the left subverts democracy. President Trump has a great record, unlike Creepy Joe. Screw all the rhinos and neocons. Harley M says, why does she always get more time? Her voice is worse than nails on a chalkboard. Ron Henderson says, vote, get these Dems out of here and vote. Big facts. Thank you to Mary D for your donation. Thank you to Dog Mama who says, thank you for streaming this. Your genuine reactions make the debate watchable. Kamala is a terrible liar. I agree with you 1,000%. And thank you for your very kind words. Thank you to Leo Mazzina for your donation. Thank you to Sam G who says, holy smokes, Pence absolutely destroyed her. Yeah, I'm talking about smoked. Like a ham, we smoked her. Thank you to Human Vegetable who says, when Kamala says the future is bright for her and Biden, she's not wrong. That's because she's referring to all of the future riot fires. There you go. Thank you to Send for becoming an ABL supporter. Thank you to Malcolm Reynolds who says, hold on, let me go back to where I was. Wow, I'm way back here. Let me go up a little bit. And hold on, I lost my place. Thank you to Sandu, became an ABL supporter. Thank you to Malcolm Reynolds, who says, Pence dominated tonight and was sincere in his answers. Wow. Chris Williams says, Joe has a history of lifting up hair and sniffing. Alaskan fan again. All I seen with her body language and facial expression were lies. Marky K says, Joe Biden always looks like he's about to shart. You guys are crazy with your super chats. Christopher Gray says, pay attention going forward. Explicit bias will now replace systemic racism. Guess that wasn't popular with the polling. Kay West, thank you for your donation. Thank you to the Diva Fiddler for your #1 fan donation. Thank you to Jared Mendoza, who says she wanted laws to be like California. Get ready for 10-day waiting periods for guns and ammo. Big facts. Ammo is hard to come by in general because everybody wants it, but in California, it's even worse. Guns too. Thank you to Tammy F, who says every question was biased against Trump. Yes, that's a good point. Every question was kind of biased against Trump. There were some things in there where she was kind of being fair, but I think overwhelmingly the questions were against Trump. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. All right. Let me see. All right, let's get to the next one here. Augustus Caesar, thank you for becoming an ABO supporter. Diplomatic community says, decent debate, Pence extremely poised, Harris extremely smug and condescending, moderator extremely biased. That's a good summary of it. Blue Ringed Octopus says, ABC thinks Pence has COVID because Pence has red eye. Hello, allergies. I didn't even see the red eye, but maybe I'm wrong. I did not know that a symptom of COVID was a red eye, but I could be wrong. Whatever. Maybe they got a doctor that can diagnose him by looking at his eyes and without having an actual COVID test, but I digress. Thank you to Tony Frederick, who says, ABL, thanks for your enlightenment and what you do. Drain the swamp. Cheers. Thank you to Steve Shia Mullen, who says, keep up the fight for truth, ABL. Thank you to Sniper021 for your donation. Thank you to Buck versus Windshield, who says she did panic many times. And yes, turbo for Turbo Annie for Psycho Post 1990. Oh, four cylinder. I'm tripping. Four cylinder past 1990. Thank you to Image X who says shout out to ABL with the trumpet megaphone emojis. Thank you to Maria VG who says love to all. Thank you to the Tejada show. I shouted you guys out earlier who say, hey, ABL, thank you for your shout out earlier. Appreciate you sending Patriots our way. Stay safe. Safe to say Pence won that debate. Absolutely. And shout out to the Tejada show yet again. They are a new YouTuber channel. So they are the Tejada show, TEJADASHOW Tejada show. Put that right here in the chat so you guys check them out whenever you get a chance. And the next super chat says, Maurice says, I was surprised and thought she was fair. No, Trump 2020. Mixed Girl POV says, keep it up with the working out emoji. Thank you to Epiphany Tanya who says, Jesus is Lord. May more people eyes be opened to the lies told tonight and continuously by Harris or Biden. There you go. Thank you to Adriani who says, how did Harris know that Pence had a good segue to the next question? Yeah. Hey, I saw that whole thing about the segue in there. It's like, how'd you know that? You know what the question was going to be? Thank you to Texas Sweet Tea who says, the fly came from Kamala's WAP. Y'all are crazy. Thank you to No Voted who says, Senator Harris, will you pack the courtroom, Harris? So this is how I was born, and I'll tell you why this is important. Yeah, exactly. It's like, you're telling me everything but the answer to the question. Packing the court, what are you going to do? Thank you to Marky K who says, thank you ABL, Trump Pence 2020 all day long. Thank you to Maddie Lauramore for the donation. Thank you to Daniel Stabler who says, I love you and would love to have a chat with you. Thank you to Joshua Cumiso who says, I'm an 8th grader getting interested in politics. Anything you recommend to help me get more of an understanding on the topic? That's a good question, young man. I would say just do a lot of reading and read from different sources. If you're looking at news and stuff like that, read local news. Don't look at national news as much because they'll give you the spin. They give you that corporate media spin that they have to do because of their advertisers and their bosses. Look at the local news and also read a lot of books. And you guys in the chat can recommend some good books for the young man to read so he's able to understand what's going on. If you've not read it yet, read George Orwell 1994. Again, read that George Orwell. Read that George Orwell. I'm sorry, because I'm having a hard time because I'm sleeping. George Orwell. There we go. 1984. Read that book and you'll be good to go. All right. I need some water on parched, but it is what it is. We'll keep on going. Thank you to Hammer who says, sweet how you rock the super chat. B Tatum working on it. And you know, I got a whole system set up. It took a while to get it done, but I got it. Thank you to Marisa who says, when you've been lying and scheming as long as both Kamala and Biden have, it's easy. Tell people what they want and do nothing for them. Disgusting. Thank you to Joy Vin who says, Kamala said we will decriminalize marijuana, LOL. Wasn't she the person that criminalized it as a top cop in California? I mean, maybe that was something I just missed, but wasn't she the one that did that back then? Thank you to Alan G923 who says, just a super chat, no message. Thank you to Flick Story Entertainment who says, Harris got owned and didn't answer any questions, Trump 2020. Thank you to Marwin Nunn who says, appreciate your commentary, bro, and no problem. Let me get a swig right quick. I'm dying over here. Let me get a quick swig. Hey, if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe right now. And click the bell as well so you get notified whenever I go live and or post a new video. That good old water, the H2O. Love it. No alcohol, no liquor for me, just straight water and liberal tears. Matter of fact, this liberal tears right here. This ain't Deer Park, this is liberal tears. So don't even pay that no mind. It's liberal tears all day. It quenches your thirst ASAP, immediately. Thank you to Maddie Smith who says, I want to know what the heck she was writing. Kamala, sounds to me like she knew the questions before. Probably did. And the crazy part is that she did not even answer the questions very well. She just was kind of repeating herself a lot and giving you the little talking points from the media. It wasn't even really good. Thank you to Sophia H who says, Kamala gets a 10 for lying. Thank you to Leighton Pissing who says, excellent debate. Susan Page was a way better moderator than Chris Wallace. Democrats are for sure going to complain about her favoring Pence. Exactly. And she didn't even do that. I think she favored Kamala Harris more than Pence. But since she was not like Chris Wallace, they're going to get on their back. He also says, keep it great, ABL. Greetings from North Bay, Canada. Shout out to you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you to Ben, who says, I love how Pence answered that little girl's question at the end sincerely and directly, and Harris turned it about Biden. Way to ignore little girl straight up question Harris. Exactly. Thank you to Burt versus Winfield, who says, United we stand, vote Trump. Crystal Marshall says, have you seen the YouTube video about Biden's involvements in China called Riding the Dragon? I've not seen that, but I'll check it out. Thank you for your donation. Thank you to Jetski for becoming a member of the ABO squad as a supporter. Thank you to Hammer, who says, sweet, how do you do? The principles of America are the Bill of Rights. Alfredo G says, thank you, ABO, for your work. Shout out Bryson and his new song that you are in. Uncle Tom is the name of it. Take a listen. Trump 2020. Yes. Shout out to my brother, Bryson Gray, and that brand new song he has called Uncle Tom. I'm in it at the very beginning. You hear my voice. And that I recorded that like 5 years ago. That might have been one of my first videos I did on the channel. I might have had that for a long time. I'm not really sure how long I had it up until when I put it out. I don't even know. I recorded that intro on the old BlackBerry phone back sometime between 2013 and 2015. I'm not really sure when I did it, but I know I put it in the video in 2015. I had a BlackBerry full of voice notes that I was just recording just because I wanted to get my frustrations out. It was kind of like a diary, like a audio diary. And I decided one day, you know what, just put them on YouTube. Why not? And put some pictures to it. That's how I first came out, just doing audio only stuff, because that came straight from my BlackBerry phone. I had a BlackBerry Curve or something like that, or a Bold. This is like 2014, 2013 when I first started recording them, and I didn't put them out until 2015. So Uncle Tom, that's one of those voice notes from a long time ago. So long story short, you can start your YouTube thing or however you want to get your voice out there with little to nothing. That's how I did it, but I moved right along. All right. Shout out to the surviving conservative who says Kamala talks about defending the democracy while advertising they will pack the court. Exactly. Did not want to answer that question too much at all. Thank you to Daytalk who says it was a debate. Haha. Thank you to Yvonne Allen for your donation. Thank you to Park Ave who says Kamala lies about her ethnicity. What else will she lie about? Thank you to Funky Monkey for the thank you emoji. Thank you to Sam G who says hook 'em horns. All-time record versus Aggies 76, 37, and 5. Shout out to Karen D who says, you have been a lifesaver. I'm a conservative in California. Kamala was a horrible attorney general here. That's what I hear all the time. And thank you for your donation. Thank you to La Vaniek. I know I tore that apart and I'm sorry. Not my fault blaming the white man. But anyway, they say Kamala Harris said she will continue what she did in LA, locking up blacks. Thank you to Integrags1 for your donation. Thank you to Abundance America, Health, Wealth, and Wisdom who says, Pence's response to the little girl almost made me cry. Proud to be an American. That was a very good response that he had. Thank you to Marissa who says, I think she did well in her performance. Her act, the skit, quote unquote, it's slick that she lies with such ease and comfort. Psychopath. Thank you, ABL. Maddie Larimore says, who do you think won the debate? Pence all day long, ain't no question. It wasn't even close. Thank you to Jen Thomas and Anna Rodriguez for your donations. Shout out to Renee Bourget. Hopefully I didn't butcher your name, who says Trump 2020, Pence 2024, ABO 2028. Pence killed it in a smooth way. Filipino Americans for Trump. Thanks, ABO, for keeping up the good work. God bless all in the USA. Epiphany Tanya says, ABO, my first time giving tonight. Thanks for all you do. You are a big inspiration. To start up my channel, still growing. Could I get a shout out? LOL. Oh, of course. You guys check out Epiphany Tanya. I'll put your name right here in the chat box so guys and girls can search for you. That's EPIPHANYTANYA, Epiphany Tanya. And the name is in the chat box right there. So you guys are able to go ahead and search for that if you got a little bit of time in your hands. Thank you to Hammer who says, good people on both sides. I agree, but clueless equals a disease. Marissa says, maybe I was wrong on the moderator after Chris Wallace. She played the middle, quote unquote, better. Kamala is scary bad. She will smile, cut you, and laugh. Exactly. Human Vegetable says Kamala wants to ban police chokeholds. I guess she wants the police to put violent thugs to sleep with hugs, warm milk, and bedtime stories. Exactly. The chokehold is done to prevent from using, lethal forms of restraint. I mean, if I can't put you in a restraint and get you down without hurting you in a chokehold, then why don't I just shoot you or something like that, or beat you with a baton? You see what I'm saying? The chokehold I'm not sure if that really results in death. You're talking about Eric Gardner and people like George Floyd. Maybe they had other problems that made them go and, have cardiac arrest or whatever, aside from the so-called chokehold. You're not going to do a carotid choke necessarily. You're going to just do a restraint. If you do a carotid choke, that can, cut your brain, your blood supply to your brain off, but they're not really doing that. But I'll move on. Thank you to Sadie for your donation. Thank you to Hank McCoy, who says, enjoy watching Pence murk these two. Ty Dallo says, love the show, ABL. Keep up the great work. Thank you to Sal Sand, who says, how much do I need to pay for an Audi 5000 at the end of a video? Audi 5000? I'll give you that at the end of the video. Thank you to Ryan K for your donation. Thank you to Maria VG, who says ABO 2024. Thank you to Tanisha Williams, who says she didn't answer Green New Deal, fell into court, and repeated a lie about Trump in the military. Very good points. I will say that in my recap video tomorrow. Thank you for that. I really do appreciate you. Thank you to Always Emanon, who says Harris's lies are making me sick. Mr. Pence saved me from losing my dinner by being so calm and honest and factual. Glad he shut that nut up. Miss Flowers says, let me go back to where I was. Pence, quote, let the record show she still hasn't answered the question, unquote. Kamala, the little kind of like screw face, like, what can she say to that? Because he called her out and it was pretty much a wrap. Thank you to Becky Crowther, who says, I'm so thankful for you and B. Tatum. Love your details of the truth. I was able to call out knowing lies when I heard them. I thank you for that. I appreciate you. Thank you to Rick Bailey for becoming a member of the ABL squad. Thank you to CM, who said, thank you, ABL. You are a blessing. Trump Pence 2020. Jesus is Lord. Miami Chick says, donation only. Thank you to Clay Grace, who says, ABL squad. Thank you to Happy, who says, thanks for all you do, Trump 2020. And shout out to Susan Davis, who says, I was so turned off by Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo that I found your channel after many decades of voting Democrat. You opened my eyes. Thank you. All right. Thank you all for being here. You guys are very generous. You're very kind. Hopefully you enjoyed the debate. I'll put a recap out tomorrow, so it won't be this whole 3-hour plus thing. It'll be condensed in a nice little form factor of about, let's say, about 10, 15 minutes. So you get all of what was going on. I'll provide links and sources. I'll also write an article about the debate too. How about that? And my website, check it out, anthonyblogan.com. That is ANTHONY, the letter B, LOGAN. As a matter of fact, I put it right here in the chat box, so you guys check it out whenever you get a little bit of time. Also, I got merch on my website. You can go to ablmerch.com or just go to the regular ABL, the Anthony B. Logan website, and go to the store section in the menu. So all of that is right there. Okay, shout out to the mods for doing a great job tonight. I think we had a peak of like 18,500 concurrent. So you guys did a very good job tonight. You guys know who you are. I can't name everybody right now. I am about to go to bed immediately. I'll be up in the morning doing my recap of what's going on. And that'll pretty much be it. So thanks to the moderators. You guys do a good job. Thank you to all of you for being here. Oh, one last thing. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe right now and click that bell. When you click the bell, you should get notified whenever I go live and or post a new video. So that's a wrap for me. Until next time, y'all be safe. I'm out, and peace.